I think I know most of them here. I'm Jill Pizarnik, the CDD board chair, and I see a number of folks are here probably to make some public comment. So let me just read you something that I've been asked to read, and then at the end of it, I'd like to just say a word or two. So this is from our district manager. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is a continued budget workshop of the Board of Supervisors of the Venetian Community Development District. The original date, including the agenda, was noticed in accordance with required statutory procedures. Today's workshop is a continuance of the original workshop. The purpose of today's continued workshop is so that the district board can work with its management professionals towards finalizing a proposed budget, and that's important. I want to address that at the end quickly. The board has not made any final decisions and cannot take any action during this workshop or any other if this one is continued, which hopefully it won't be, but maybe. The members of the public are always welcome to all district board and advisory committee meetings. There will be several meetings from now until the budget hearings are held for the board to adopt the fiscal year 2026-27 budget. And just so you know, those hearings happen in August. So I just want to be sure you all understand that this is the start of the budget process, and we do want to hear from all of you, but we need to hear it in accordance with the way our meetings are structured. So we won't be taking any public comment this morning. Our next board meeting is June 8th. It's at 9:30 in the morning. June 8th, it's a Monday. Just so you know, we meet typically every other Monday. And if you are, the website is venetiancdd.org. So if you go there, you can get the dates for all the meetings. And I think all of you know, you can always contact any of us, but we have a really huge amount of stuff we have to get through in terms of the budget this morning. So unfortunately, again, we won't be taking public comment. Did you want to say something?
Yeah, I had mentioned that, I didn't realize there was the rules and regulations to this, because we can't talk. I left, and this was me, I left these ladies with the impression that it was up to the board supervisor, the chairman, yourself, to whether we would take public comment or not. So I apologize for that. So the only other comment that I will make is a lot of these ladies in the meeting the other day commented on the fact that they always seem to think that these things happen in the middle of the summer when no one is here. And I explained to each and every one of them that this is our budget process and it's been publicly noticed, it happens every year. So I just wanted to make that clear as well. Okay, so.
Yeah, it's not that we don't want to hear from you. All of our contact information is available. And I know I've met with a number of you over the years. So, feel free to contact me or any one of us to talk. It's just that we're in a box right now in terms of our budget. The statutory deadline is June 15th. And that sounds far away, but actually it's not, because we have a lot of work to do and it's an immovable deadline. So
it's on June 8th, they can come and make a public comment?
Absolutely,
Yep.
It's a regular board meeting. Yep. Absolutely, you get 3 whole minutes.
When does the budget get voted on and finalized?
It's the end of August. It's a good question, Mary, because we have to submit. I'm really glad you asked that question. We have to submit the budget to the county before the end of August because everything gets rolled through into the tax bills. So all this cascades backwards to the process we have. So I don't want to get into a whole Q&A now, but I think it's important, A, you all understand the process and we're just at the beginning, and B, you can always contact any of us. We're here to be as transparent as possible and as helpful as possible. So
we also have to submit a trim budget by
Right.
June 15th.
Yes.
Right, exactly.
Yes.
Which can be lowered, but
Explain
not
to us
increased.
what a trim budget is, please.
Trim,
Go ahead, Ken.
trim budget is a preliminary budget that, before the final budget is submitted, is our projection for what we would budget. It can be lowered, but it cannot be increased at that point. So, but that's due June 15th.
So it's just like a preliminary budget.
It is, but
A top
high
end
end.
preliminary, a top end.
High end.
It's a
It's a high water mark.
Yeah.
We can't go above it. but we can make it the same or go below it. And the purpose of that is to allow everybody who cascades down from there to be able to do their budgets. So it's a tricky process, and many of you don't understand, we're a government, the same way that the city council is a government. We can't talk to each other, we can't text each other, we can't call each other, we can't talk about business. It makes it glacial sometimes to get stuff done. And I realize that's opaque to you and you don't, it looks like we're being secretive or difficult. It's not. We're really in a box when it comes to this stuff. So we'd encourage all of you, to especially to come to the meeting, because then it's on record. All these meetings are on YouTube and recorded. So hopefully that'll.
Actually, a question about that, and then we can move on.
Yes,
How long are those YouTubes held out?
I think forever.
I think they're permanent.
They're permanent. Okay, that was a question that came up on Wednesday. So they are all available. Everything that's been discussed prior to this is all available and out there. Yes, thank you very much.
Yeah,
Appreciate
okay. And then with
Okay.
that, I think,
But note that sometimes we put things in the budget, in the trim budget that are high, knowing we can take them out later, but we can't put
Yes.
them back in later.
Right.
yes, that's the problem.
Right.
Is that,
That's not a problem, it's just,
well,
it's a process.
The problem is if we haven't done it with the trim budget, we can't go back because we've already passed that part of the highway.
Mhm.
So understand, and, it's not easy, but we would not be doing our fiduciary duty if we didn't look at every aspect of where we're spending money in here. It costs more money every year to run this club. So we just ask you to understand, we're just doing our jobs as your neighbors.
Okay.
So thank you for your understanding and
Thank
patience,
you.
really appreciate it.
Thank you, Jill.
No problem. So with that, thank you. You want to stay and watch the Sox?
Watch the show.
So Jamie and Greg, do you want to take us through? Yeah, that'd be great. We'll start with the River Club budget and then continue with the River Club budget, I should say, and then we'll move to the general fund.
Okay,
Okay.
so I'll lead and Greg will jump in.
Okay.
To talk through some of the
Great.
details of it. If you flip to your food and beverage page, we'll start there rather than
Okay.
consolidated. We'll come back to consolidated. All right. Really simple review. If there's any comments as I'm going, please raise them, ask them questions.
Just one sec, Jamie. If you guys want to talk, you're gonna have to, please, because we're recording it and we can't, I know it doesn't sound logical, we can't hear. Thanks, okay, so jumping in.
All right, starting out with revenues. What we did here is take a look at historical actuals. We obviously used our current actuals in this forecast and budget spread. We had months throughout this budget year, several, where we underperformed, most notably October, November, when we had very reduced staffing and frankly, limited ability to really produce like we should have. In terms of budget months, which are loaded into this as a forecast, I built a separate file to take a look at those budget months, compare those to prior year actuals. Just to give you an example, September's budget was $23,000 higher than last year. Put that into perspective, it's like a 90% budget increase. We don't have any data to support that. Every historical data line goes from 30,000, 27,000, 26,000, 25,000 in terms of total revenue. So in the separate food and beverage, I'll call it budget projection file, I built those months out. So Ken noticed that the forecast was showing kind of aggressive. The forecast column you see, column R, well, you don't have those columns, I'm sorry. So the far right column, that forecast that's being carried is actually a direct key input. Elliot Fitch in our corporate office, he built it. It's not formula driven. This was a bit of a time crunch for us to finalize, so I did not update that column forecast. So forecast I went off of was slightly different. Actually netted out to only be about $12,000 different overall. I fixed a few of the off months, fix those out months that we have very high budgets for, and then modeled roughly a 5% increase in the appropriate levels across each month.
Can I ask you about the 5%?
Mhm.
Is it a combination of price increases and marketing efforts, or?
Beyond that, as we continue to establish the menus, establish service levels, it will
It will.
gradually pick up.
Okay.
But there are definitely things that, this group will be a part of at some point. We do need to take up, whether it's 50 cents or maybe $1. But it takes very little to achieve that percent increase. A little increase on drinks that are too low, and this is just something where we have to examine everything. Make sure the pricing is consistent from outlet to outlet to outlet, because I have seen it be drastically different from outlet to outlet. And if we're, for example, serving a Tito's for $6, and maybe that should be $6.50 or $7, that's an easy 50 cents to grab. This does not represent any, I would think, even noticeable increase. But a $12 thing might be a $12.50 thing. This would just be very minor increments to try to grab back a better cost of goods percentage and a better revenue gain.
Okay.
So no real concerns about that. It is, maybe it appears a little aggressive when you look at it in line with historicals.
Yeah, I think you're about $100,000 high.
I'd be happy to lower it, but
Yeah, I'm
it'd
saying.
be very hard to do.
No, I'm just
Unless
saying.
you want a bigger dues increase.
Well, I'm just looking at the 25-26 forecast to finish off the end of this year. It's not gonna be 980, you have it 993.
As I just said,
Yeah.
no, I modeled a different forecast.
Yeah. he was about to
I actually,
talk about-
in the last 5 months of budget, the model I worked off of reduced those months by about $50,000. So I corrected October, November, and there were a few other events that should have performed better. I corrected that in actual months that have already passed. So that's why you don't see the full 50,000 pickup, but I reduced, for example, reduced May by $14,000 from budget, reduced June by $3,500, July by 5, August by 8, September by 17. So we're still showing a little bit higher than prior years, which might not be attainable. But I brought it much more in line with prior year. Now, that said, if, let's say in January, we did 100,000, but last year we did 122, hypothetically. I tweaked that, right? So if actuals still looked good, but were short of prior year historical performance, I tweaked that up. Once I had that baseline set, then I went in and modeled increases month to month.
So Jamie, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt
Nope,
you.
I was done.
So, obviously behind all these numbers has to come some type of action plan. And so you use these, you had some type of theoretical action plan that was in place, right? Price increase, more, can you share where you think we're gonna get the biggest opportunity for this 5% overall increase? I know you said minimally with the pricing, but what action plans do you have to then bring in more people to generate that more revenue? I mean, there has to be some type of baseline behind this, right? And I'm just curious to know what that is. And I think that'll make me feel comfortable with the
Sure,
numbers
sure.
regardless of where the number lands.
Yeah, I mean, to put it plainly, I don't think this year was a good indicator of what performance can be.
Okay.
And I can't speak to prior years, but just what I saw with prior management, when I was on property, I can't imagine they were striving to hit a revenue target. So that said, I
Right.
think we did an okay job at best, communicating, marketing, building strategic events, and really pushing people in the doors. And we probably, we didn't hurt ourselves right out of the gate, but losing all the staff and being,
Sure.
certainly handicapped there hurt, but then it took a while to get our staff to the levels and everything to the level where we needed to execute properly. And I think we've done that now. I think we're there. So I think you're going to see, my prediction is We see pickups from just, I'll say, a properly performing fiscal year. I don't think we had that last year. And we're gonna see 2 to 3, maybe a bit more, depending on what it is, 2-3% increases on just about everything. And this is just where we all have to get comfortable with it.
Sure.
The cost of goods that we have for the club is really too high. And believe me, I'm not proposing to just increase everything and put it on the backs of the residents, but there has to be a balance.
Understood.
Has to be a
Understood.
And so that's why-
That's where our job gets hard.
You know, if
Yes.
this was, let's say the $13 thing really should be $17 thing, right? If there was any effort to go get what it should be, this revenue increase would be
Yeah,
substantial.
I have no problem, yeah, I have no problem with that, because one of the things that I was gonna say is if your sales are flat, you're down 4% for inflation.
Yeah.
So I have no problem bringing prices up, because obviously things cost more, labor costs more,
Yeah.
utilities cost more, everything costs more, so
Yeah.
we need to, so we need to be cognizant of that in the costs and the sale, on both sides of the equation, and also understanding we could also at the same time remaining competitive with the
Sure, of
outside
course.
world.
Of course, I think that's a great statement. You know, it appears by our pricing models, maybe even our dues over the years and CPI increases or dues increases that were or were not put in place, that while that's great to residents, but we're also not talking about massive increases. Losing out on that $5 per month per home increase may not hurt the first year.
Right.
You might kind of feel it the second
Right.
year, but you're
Yeah.
absolutely going to feel it in year 3, 4, and 5.
Yeah.
And by everything I do have access to look at, we've been behind that trend.
We have.
We have.
Behind that trend on
Yes.
assessments, but that is, this board and further. So I'm not gonna sit here and say this is a cakewalk, right? This still requires our new GM to come in, get the team together, get everything on track, and be planning stuff properly, pricing stuff properly, communicating properly, et cetera, et cetera. When that's done and they start to see it and we have a better staff in place, which we now do, hopefully we can retain through the summer, they'll come back and say, Friday night dinner goes great, then you are more likely to then come back and more people talk about it. This is common sense, everybody knows it. So if I were building this to be a 10% gain based on those variables, yeah, I would tell you probably straight up that's aggressive.
So you think the 5% is conservative, this is attainable?
I do, but I would tell
Okay.
you if we need to take that, and I should maybe start saying the $12 thing, but if we need to put an increase on menus that equates to 50 cents per entree or something like that, and that's pushed back, these numbers won't be hit.
But I think that as a board, we know our pricing is
Yeah.
low. I don't
Right.
think anyone would
Right.
argue that. And I think the fact that it's an 8% decrease from last year's budget, which we know was not attainable.
Right.
Right.
And a 5% increase over forecast, I think is incredibly reasonable. And I think there should be enough tools to be able to pull that off.
I think so. If I were here, if I were the GM here, I think I'd be even comfortable raising that percentage, because I think it can be achieved. I personally think it can be achieved quite easily, but there's quite a bit that we need to settle in
Yeah.
and fix here.
Yeah.
If we go back to, not this year, but last year's 965 and do 5% off of that, that's $1,013,000.
So, yeah, I mean,
Which
It's
is
a
not far off.
decrease
So-
from last year, which is,
right.
So this year's a decrease from last year, but if we go back to last year's,
But we're running below last year.
I know, but if we bring it back to last year plus the inflation rate, because obviously we had the chaos with the transitions this year, but if we bring it back to last year's performance level plus the inflation, it gets us up to that $1,040,000 that Jamie's talking about without doing too much.
So are we comfortable
I'm
with
comfortable.
the revenue
I am
number?
totally
I
comfortable.
think
just
this
say one
revenue.
thing?
Yeah.
Something that's got to be a serious consideration is getting away from non-member banquets, which I think is a good move for the club
Yeah.
and member access.
Mhm.
But that revenue, if we're only talking about revenue and not gross profit or net operating
Right.
income, if you're only looking at the revenue, we're behind by $70,000 last year in non-member banquets.
Right.
So if you factor non-member banquets moving forward, you have to consider that is going to pull some revenue, but it also will probably increase member satisfaction and increase the NOI. So $70,000 year to date is what we're behind in non-member banquet revenue.
Which is a compounding tough loss. Non-member banquets, you're gonna make your greatest margin by far. You'll actually make a margin. So when that comes out, it's sort of a double hit. But yeah.
You know, and I'm comfortable with that not being in here, because if we actually come up with an action plan and a strategy to do non-member events, and they're profitable, which we struggled with in the past, believe it or not, that would be great. Then that, for us in the future, is a bonus.
Sure.
But I would never want to put that in here. I think this is very reasonable and I'm very comfortable.
Yeah, private events for what we have here, I mean, especially if the renovation occurs and, now we're limited in ceremony lawn space or whatever, but still, we can make it great. You can charge a lot, but that has to be, a lot of time has to go into that. And I would guess maybe that's not been done, but you can charge double what you're charging the residents here.
Yeah.
What, I mean, I've seen in my club in particular is while maybe 7-10 years ago, we did non-member events, we still do them. The percentage of now member events that we do is 70% of our full banquet budget. And it took a little while to tip that scale. So now it's great because we're getting that revenue generation, but we're getting it from our members who want to book weddings and other parties. And that's what we would hopefully build here. So I think before you even focus on outside the gates, you just focus on the campaign
Yeah,
inside.
That's
the gates.
exactly right.
You gotta clean
And
up
you
our
price it
house.
right for residents, because there should be a benefit to that end. And then if that gets traction and you've got resources dedicated to it, then maybe you go outside the gates if needed, but I don't think that's needed.
Yeah.
All depends on what the board ultimately wants to
Yeah, cool.
do.
Jamie, what
Yes, sir.
forecast are you, I'm trying to figure out where the 5% comes from.
So you won't see it. I built a whole separate model for this.
But what revenue number are you coming off of?
981. And then
Which is
months
very
are
close.
tweaked.
Right.
5% is this to this.
That's what we're
Yeah,
at.
No,
you
it
said,
But
Yeah,
981 is going to be high. 981 is still high. I think if you go back historical, if you take the first 6 months sales of the year, multiply by 1.5 to 1.6,
Do we budget the
it
rest
gives
of the
you,
year?
it'll tell you the year-end figure
so he-
every year for the past 6 years. It's in between that.
Yeah, I think and believe me, if I don't want to set the next GM up or anyone else for failure. But you know, when I look at prior year revenue, we should have been able to increase that a reasonable percentage. Prior year was 966 and change, something like that.
I'd
So,
also say, Rich, we haven't had we didn't have the tiki bar all of those 6 years either. You know, not the new tiki bar. And I
No.
think there is something to be said for that.
October this year finished 17,000 behind prior year. That should have never happened. So that happened because of the transition.
So you made that adjustment.
So I
when
grab
you did
a
your
big
forecast,
chunk of that back.
Which makes sense.
I mean, I basically look at every anomaly that occurred, at least all that I can be aware of or Greg can provide. That can be weather events, unexpected closures, which we had
We
them.
did.
And I take those out. Now, if I don't have to take them all out, I might leave a little cushion, a little sand in there. There's not a ton of sand in this though, but I also don't think it's aggressive.
So I think unless somebody thinks that this is unreasonably low, I think we should say, done and move on.
Done.
Agreed.
Done.
One last comment on the non-member banquets versus club events. While we are trailing 70,000 behind in non-member banquet revenue, we are $15,000 ahead in member club events.
That's very
It will
interesting.
gain traction, what he was saying, but it
Yeah.
takes time to build them. We're 15,000 ahead in member events and 70,000 behind in non-member.
Right, okay, thank you. Thanks.
Let's, we don't need to spend a whole lot of time on COGS, I don't think. You can see the year-to-date track, you can see the budget that was done. It would be senseless for me to present a budget that we're gonna stay status quo, and status quo is not particularly great. But I can tell you again that without increasing our pricing in various areas, it will be very hard to get much better than low 50s on food costs. And alcohol costs, same thing. And, you know, some clubs might have a 60% liquor cost because they don't mind a heavy pour. So these are all sort of, you have to consider these for your environment, for your club, for expectations. So what we're trying to achieve is literally a half a point here, maybe a point there. Should be not a problem at all. Dropping down to wages, this model is built off, we would call it status quo currently of staffing. I don't think we're inappropriately staffed in back of house, but that would require a bit more examination. But this is modeled to continue what we feel like we've got to a good level currently and continue that forward. Please pay attention to the far right notes. There are reasons why comparison to this year will look off. We had no food and beverage front of house team, quite literally. So in October, payroll was 31,986 for back of house, and in November, 32,613. Not a huge difference, but it is a difference. But look at the front of house difference, 16,000 compared to what we're budgeting, 29, and then 23,000 compared to 30. Now, that front of house labor line is also, it's not excess. And we will have to factor in some contract labor for events and things like that. You'll see a line, 2 lines further down where we put in about $7,000. That's just to make sure that when we need that extra person or two for holiday events or whatever, that we have the ability. You can't overhire. So a club like any club in this market, you hit the summer months and business falls off. If you overhire, you ultimately lay off or lose those staff. Also, it's not great to hire people with a certain expectation and they think they're going to make a living and then they don't. So sometimes you get some OT because of that, because you're staffed at sort of the most efficient level, but we need that spike with contract labor to kick in for those bigger events when we need it. This is not a significant change, some increases for raises where they are due and appropriate, and that's about it.
I just think we're a little high on both back of house and front of house labor. I'm looking at it, I just ran some quick numbers of like the back of house, for example. If you take the chef and then 5 line cooks and a dishwasher, that gets to, working 35, 40 hours a week, each one of them. I don't know if you can get more than 5 in there, obviously not counting contract labor, but 5 line cooks and a chef, so you have 6 people back there. A dishwasher gets you about $335,000, not $423.
Understood. Let me kind of explain.
It's a big swing.
A food and beverage operation is not an exact mathematical equation like you're calculating. When you're open 7 days a week and irregular hours and events that pop in.
We're open 5.
Well, let's say 5. Yeah, I'm just. So then you're going to staff to that level, but you have to staff extra for the overlapping shifts. Not everybody's going to work every single day of the week, days off. So it is not an exact science. Right now, I don't think I've ever seen a day.
Yeah, I want to say one thing. It's a choice that we're staffing 5, but historically, and it doesn't show up on any financial data, that it has historically been 4.
Okay.
So if you take 20%, it's 25%, because if you add one more day on a 4-day week, it makes 5. So you're taking 25% more and adding it to your labor. I don't want to get into whether we should or shouldn't be open on Saturday night. I'm just saying when you staff labor for one additional day, it adds right off the top, at least 20% to your.
No, I get that, but if we're open Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, that's 5 days.
But if you historically were open Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Sunday, then it's 4 days.
Right. No, I'm
So
saying.
when you add the 5th day,
But he's not doing it off of forecast, he's just doing pure math
I'm
from
just
what
saying,
his
yeah.
numbers
it's not
I'm just saying-
historical, he's not looking at
Yeah, I'm
No,
just
he's
saying-
not looking,
I'm
he's
just
just
saying,
sent from
if
scratch.
you take 5 days.
Yeah.
5 people working 35 hours a week, making an average of $23 an hour. I know some people make more, others make less. So you can make it 24, you can make it 25, it doesn't really make that much of a difference. Working 50 hours a week, 50 weeks a year, you get to make time off. Plus the chef and the dishwasher, you're in the 330 to 350 range. You're at 423. That's a lot of extra money. Now,
There are other
There are
positions
other
in the
positions,
kitchen.
people who's.
And you-
There's
and you're
runners
not
and
gonna-
expos and.
no, renters the front of house.
But there's pantry, there's
Pantry,
pizza.
dishwasher.
But that's part of the life, that's part of the.
No, it's not.
No, it's not, it's different.
And they're
But
not
in it-
7-hour shifts either.
Right, in addition, you've got to factor in overtime, because sometimes people are sick, you got to factor in transition time when you double up on
And-
people.
I get that, but
But
I'm just
And you
looking
have
at
to
it, I'm just looking at a
figure
I
rough
think
number.
one of our goals for this year needs to be stability and staffing.
Yes.
Because we are never gonna get anywhere if we don't achieve stability and staffing. And I think that this budget reflects what I've seen for numbers for front of house and back of house and creating some stability in that.
But I'm also trying to figure out how you keep people, if we can't, that if we do it step to these levels, we can never close. Because we have to give everybody hours, and then we have so many employees now all vying for the same pool tip. That they're making
That's a
us,
whole different conversation.
Plus,
but
I
it's
also,
all part of the
What's the
conversation.
assumption behind these 4 hours of operation?
right,
Thank you,
I'm sorry, what?
What's the assumption behind these for hours of operation?
thank you. That's
That's what we have
No
today.
change.
Let's go hours. When Rich said 7-hour shifts, we're open at 11:30 and close at 8. So that shift is sometimes 10 or 10:30
right.
till 8:30.
And keep in mind, when you open 11:30, you're coming in at, I don't know when you're.
That's 10 or 10:30.
yeah.
I mean, you come in several hours early to prep the line and prep
It's not,
everything.
there's no
I,
second.
I hear what you're saying, and there might be a little excess in
But
there.
but you also don't need 5 line cooks you don't need 5 people here for lunch on Wednesday when you have 20 people out
But
there.
that's,
So you bring in a couple early, and then you bring in the other people later, and then you switch off. This way, you maximize.
Yeah, but
I think-
we can't micromanage the
No, we
budget on a
can't. We
scale.
can't, especially with the trim budget. I think, I
I'm
hear
okay.
you, Rich, I hear you,
But
Rich.
it's a trim budget.
But
We
you know,
can't-
you're doing it mathematically. As somebody who's worked in a kitchen, I'm probably the only one on the board. You know, it's not as easy as it sounds.
No, I get that.
Believe me.
I get that.
I've run a kitchen.
I've also looked at the payroll records, what we were doing last year, and I saw how many people we had, and we were doing it, so,
Not well.
Well,
last year.
Mhm.
It was a better year than this year, so we were doing it well enough. And was it
Can I
great?
interject?
Yes,
Okay, so just as a reminder, supervisors, this is a trim budget.
Yes.
Yeah.
right,
So
we got it.
at this point, this is your not to exceed
Okay.
budget.
Right, that's right.
You're not approving right now, you're
Right.
working on it.
Okay, all right.
Yes.
The point would be for you to, obviously reach the amount that you are forecasting, but so that you leave some room in the future to reduce if need be.
Yes.
Not that you have to do every single line item reduction at this point,
Right.
because you need to be as realistic as possible. I just wanted to put that out there because,
Conservative as
for
possible.
instance, your proposed, you still have plenty of time, once you approve your proposed budget, to come back and make changes.
Downward.
But
Yes.
you will not be able to increase this budget once
That's
you
right.
approve the proposed.
Right,
You can only decrease it.
right, understood.
Okay.
Thanks.
And Rich, we do have runners are tracking to back of house. That's the way it was built.
Okay,
And clubs do it either way. I don't do it that way at my club. So that would be about another 35. So if we pull that out,
or
it
more,
swings
okay,
about.
all right.
So that, our budget number, if you pull the runners out, would be more like 390 for back of house. And then, of course, that would slide in front of house. So that number would be more like 395. And then when you kick in, we're probably 20 grand light from those months where we had no staff. This year is more of a 350, 355 number compared to 390. But I can tell you from my experience, Greg would attest that even when we started to get staffing back, we still were not anywhere near appropriate staffing levels. For Thanksgiving, we had to have staff come in from another club to be able to execute that. So there's going to be more opportunities where staffing and payroll here is going to look very lower than what it should have been if we were at the appropriate levels. But since we're good, I'll move on from that. As you go down the line, there's no major changes in food and beverage when you look at historicals. The one of note is insurance benefit. We're actually tracking right now at $26.95 per month. So I padded that a reasonable amount. If we're not going to have an abundance of full-time people come on who want benefits, but in the event we do have one or two come on that want it, we've got room to add that easily. Outside of that, Where we performed at is kind of how the budget was modeled. And then you drop down to the bottom line, you'll see the 491. And my numbers aren't showing compared to, well, it shows this year's trend at 480. We will not hit those revenue numbers, but then you've got 53% food cost and, who knows, 30-40% labor and other costs that go with it. So any revenue miss is not necessarily a big miss at all to bottom line, but I do expect that projection forecast to drop
I'm not
maybe 10 or
asking,
20,000.
I'm not asking you to change anything. What I'm asking for is an explanation on the credit card merchant fees. Are those recouped in another line item that I'm not aware of? Because I thought we were doing a 2.5% convenience fee on that.
And we actually had such a big push to move people to ACH
Right.
that I was also, that's one of my issues too. I was surprised that it was
I think it's.
not lower.
Is it being offset in?
No, it's in credit card.
That's, I didn't know whether it was included in your revenue number or there should have been an offset against the expense line item, right? That's my
Is
question.
Carol on?
And
Yes, Carol is on.
I think,
Hey, Carol?
Yes, I'm looking right now. I don't recall, I know we're capturing it, but I don't recall if it's a negative to the expense or an income. So I will let you know as soon as I
Okay.
pull it up and find it.
check,
because to me,
Check that.
then you would have to include that in your revenue. Now, if that's where she's capturing it, you would have to include that in your revenue number, Jamie.
I don't see in all of our financials, I don't see any revenue line
check
for it.
admin,
I didn't see it there either.
check,
This is modeled off of what we've seen year to date
Yes.
in expense.
Yeah.
So I took that same percentage, applied it to future revenues and charges. But if the
We do have some in 409,500 other
Other
revenue,
revenue line.
in April. I'm seeing that we have it, there's an income line for credit card surcharge.
No, it's not critical.
So it's other revenue?
it was going in admin, and I don't know if you moved it to food and beverage yet or not, in the actual. Remember,
Let me see, I think you mentioned that after we sent the financial can, it was a good point.
Yeah.
But
So Carol, is it hitting, 40, what line item again, and what department? 409.
it might be rolling to 409,500 other revenue, but the exact account number is 409,660.
Oh, 9660, okay.
I would check admin.
That could be a little windfall, maybe.
Well, no, you just move it from admin to.
Well, but in the historical files I had, I did not have that revenue tracking, so I
Right.
didn't
So
build
that's
a
gonna be what,
budget.
about 22?
I didn't build a budget.
I just want to make sure that we capture that offset someplace because,
Right, so
Yeah.
hopefully it's just a swing of a little bit more revenue and a little bit less
Correct.
expense. Yeah, you got that one, perfect.
Can I ask, it's a little big thing, but Greg and I had talked about employee uniforms, and you have it, this is line 605,000 is the GL code.
Yeah, that's a
You're
miss
just gonna
on,
leave it there?
that's a miss on my part.
Okay.
I didn't notice that line item was, it was collapsed and hidden.
Oh, okay.
So the budget that was in there still, that Elliot loaded, is the budget that carried. So we would need to add a little expense there. Honestly, I think I can find it in other areas.
Yeah, it's small enough.
It's
I
not a
just
big
wanted to,
number.
it was something that when, Greg and I had some good
Yeah, if we go to a
discussions.
single type of uniform, those can be tough. Their contracts are messy. You just need somebody really managing that. But to go to, we have a stockpile of shirts and pants and whatever, that's a minimal expense, especially,
Yeah,
we can go through our Hampton vendors. I think I pay $14 for my logoed embroidered uniform shirts.
Okay.
So they're very cheap.
all right.
But we will add that in, and if we do another review, or if I need this to stay balanced, I'll find that.
Find it somewhere else, okay.
Jim, what is 701, whatever, events?
Oh, I was gonna ask.
I was going to ask that one too. What is that?
Music?
All kinds, music, member event expenses, decorations could hit there. So, if you do any holiday event here, you buy flowers and have a band, you rent something, it's likely hitting there, or a rental expense line.
So we should talk about that line because we signed a contract to do a bit more holiday decorating for the River Club.
Shouldn't that be
That
an
wouldn't be in
admin?
food and beverage.
That would be an admin.
This is food and beverage.
This is just
Oh,
food. and
oh, yeah, you're right,
beverage.
it's
But
absolutely-
This is
actually,
just dining room.
But also, they
Yeah.
told us, like, we were told in the last budget, or other statements, that decorations came out of F&B and went into admin, so that wouldn't, so.
They're not in here.
So
They're not-
decoration-
Okay, I misunderstood.
No, but Jamie just said decorations, so
No,
decorations should not be
These are
in.
dining room decorations. This is not Christmas decorations. This is
No, I know
just
that, but
dining-
I asked that question a couple months ago, and they said, no, they said all decorations for the River Club, and you even agreed, even if it was in this room, was to be going under admin.
Admin.
And I said, no, it should be F&B if we're decorating this room, and everybody agreed, no, that should go to admin.
I think they're looking at food and beverage.
You think-
music and entertainment.
I think it should be here too.
It's music.
And entertainment.
I think decorations should be here too.
It's
I think we
majority
are.
music.
But
It's in
we
music.
moved it out. We moved it into admin.
No.
Not sure that we did.
Yeah,
Music and-
I'm telling you, we definitely did, because
Okay,
if you look at the actual
we can
statement.
check it later, I
Okay.
was moving around.
All right,
I can, let me, I'm jumping into the financials now, and as we move along, I'll be able to pull up the detail and see exactly what's hitting. Right now, it's overwhelmingly music and entertainment.
Right.
But I need to
makes
see the
sense.
detail to see if in music and entertainment line item, other expenses are hitting that are not DJs and bands. That would seem like a lot for just music here, but we do a lot of stuff, so who knows? But if there is stuff, are we saying that any other decor related items for food and beverage need to hit admin? Is that what we're saying?
I think they
I think it
should be
should
in
be
food
F&B.
and beverage.
They usually would hit the department that they're generating
Exactly.
participation or revenue.
The only decorations I think should be in admin would be the Christmas, right?
Christmas.
Because those are,
Yeah,
easier,
and
it's more
and maybe some other things that you just do because you're being a good club, right?
Exactly.
That aren't driving
right.
an event need. All right, we'll note that. Any other questions on the food and beverage fee now?
Yes.
Okay.
Down under, electric, gas, fuel, oil, you've got zero in there. Again, this is just presumably a movement from other departments in here, but something in here should be reflected. Historically, it has been. And I talked to Greg and Carol about that a little bit, and I think they're looking at,
It must be tracking
How it's
somewhere else.
allocated.
Yeah, Carol, are you
we're
able
not
to?
separately metered, so it's
Right.
an allocation, but there should be something in here.
We did, we broke it apart in different departments. Carol, do you have that percentage breakdown in front of you?
Sorry, missed the first of that. You speaking of utilities?
Yeah,
Fuel and
utilities.
oil.
I do not, but I will pull it up. As I know,
Gas,
there were
gas, water, and
like 3 or
electric.
4 categories. Some were divided
Yeah.
by 3 categories equally, and some were 50-50. So let me see if I can find that very quickly.
I can give them one off the top of my head. Gas was allocated to 75% kitchen for the line and 25% for the furnaces at the pool. Electric, I believe, was a third, electric for the pool, the utilities, the F&B and admin, but she'll give you the exact numbers. I
I don't need the exact number,
No,
I'm
but
just
it
saying
just
something
broke-
should be.
But there's
It's
not-
allocated to 3 different departments.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but there's nothing in food and beverage,
I
which
just-
is the concern, yeah.
So I have the percents here, fuel and oil, which is basically gas.
Mhm.
We split 3/4% to F&B, 1/4 to aquatics. Electric, 1/3 each to F&B, aquatics, and admin, and the same for water. So electric and water are a third each to F&B, aquatics, and admin.
The pools has its own gas meter.
Correct.
So why don't we just?
That is
apply-
true.
Why don't we just apply the actual gas meter to, it is what it is, instead of trying to guesstimate? I don't know.
We haven't had it consistently hitting there. It looks like our gaps were February, March, and April.
Well, because again, we just started talking about breaking that out, making sure it's getting into the right places.
I mean, it looks like across all departments, we have the total amount represented, just not
Yeah.
properly per department. So,
Well,
yeah,
I'm just saying,
we'll clean that up for sure.
Yeah. that's all you need to do.
Even in my aquatics line, I put a note out to the right, should this expense hit here, because it was strange.
I saw
and then
that.
And then it stopped.
Mhm.
So that should just be an easy, it doesn't change the balance, just reallocates the funds. Okay, got that note too.
Yeah, Tico invoice went to aquatics, the first 3 or 4 months. So possibly Tico is the pool one, and Gas South is Clubhouse.
Carol, could you work, or someone with you, work on what our total utilities individual expenses are, and then come up with the proper allocations for each department, so I could just direct input? Where you could say, here's the monthly distribution to each department.
Yes, I've actually done that, based on these percentages for October through April.
Okay, great.
Yeah, because it's all just sitting in admin.
Tell you where it was historically.
Yeah.
It was definitely
I saw
tracking
that,
it, as you see from the historical on the far right. Should we jump into fitness? It's pretty straightforward.
Yes.
Yeah, the only thing that I want to say here is that, because we impact, right, so many houses with our fees. And I'll share this with everybody. Take that.
Take one and pass it
Take it,
down.
and I'm gonna be quick, I promise.
We have enough for.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
You give me one of them.
Okay. You take that.
Here.
Shoot somewhere.
So
See?
if you take a look at, and just, I prepared this document for the ladies that had asked for it in the Fitness and Pool Advisory Committee meeting.
More?
But what I want you to take a look at is in the top section, January through April, the unique number of users that use the fitness facility, and this includes guests, okay? So on average, on any given month in our peak season, we have 159 people, of which on a monthly basis, I'll be conservative and say 10 to 15 of those are guests.
Okay.
So we really only have 140 unique users using our fitness instructors, all right? So then what I did was I said, okay, from a fitness budget perspective, I took our budget from this current year at 74,288, did a little allocation for our tennis pro because he's spending a little bit of time, right? I allocated a little bit of costs for the pool because maintenance to the pool because there's so many classes per week in that pool. And then I adjusted upwards for the increase that our instructors received. You can see that on an average cost per month per user, a unique user, we're at almost or a little over $49 per person per month in expenses. That's not obviously what gets distributed to this entire community. But based on this and based on the fact that, we are trying to be reasonable, I would like to leave our 26-27 budget flat and just make it the $75,000 or the $74,000 that we had budgeted this year. And then come up with the decision of, okay, if that's gonna be our bottom line in fitness, do we charge for fitness classes or do we cut back on fitness classes? And, there's a lot of conversation of, is it worth it? I think it is, because here's my take on it. I would love to see people pay, not just to make them pay, but to have opportunity to improve our fitness program. I've gotten feedback that our fitness programs are stale, that it's the same thing over and over again, that we need some fresh instructors. And I would like, if we can't do something, I don't really want to increase it, but I want to improve it. So, go ahead, Cheryl.
No, I was just gonna say, the budget that you guys have proposed does not have a revenue line in it.
Correct.
And
That is
so,
correct.
and you're proposing just to leave it the way it is, the way it's been presented.
No, I'm proposing, I would love to see our budget stay flat at $74,000. So whether that's we, a $74,000 loss. So whether that's, add 12,000 into the revenue line or reduce the contract labor number to have a representative number of classes, which instead of 27 per week would work out to 24 a week.
So I think this, I would personally leave it the way it is because I think this requires a lot more conversation.
Yeah.
I've been, since we put a kind of a placeholder in and said, let's talk about this, I've been doing a lot of back in my notes from years prior about what happened. And I am concerned that it's true, and this community has never charged for fitness classes. We did it once and it was a complete disaster. We did, that's what I mean, one time for several
No, we
years.
did it back in,
2000.
I can weigh in on this because I was the recreation chair.
we did it,
Yeah,
but historically it was done some years ago as
yes, it
well.
was. Yeah.
And both times. And I think we need to talk about, is the juice worth the squeeze on this? And if it's a rehash of what we're doing in fitness to provide better classes, and then there's some difference there, I just would be more comfortable for trim budget, leaving it exactly where it is and then continuing this discussion.
I agree with you on trim budget.
Yeah.
However, I understand where Cindy's coming from, and I want to because it's important, I was the one who made the case to the board in 2021 that fitness fees should be suspended, and the reason was I did the analysis of the number of seats used in fitness classes versus the revenue collected. Because
Yeah,
we were
that was
supposed to
different.
collect two classes at $2 a class. 50% of the people were not charged for their sessions. So it was a logistical
And I think it will
issue.
always be a
Yeah.
little.
But that's
Actually-
what I,
No, sorry, didn't.
no,
mean to.
but that's
So I
the
went into
logistical
Jonas
piece.
and I looked to see how we could do this. There's an automated tool that when you register for a class, you can do a bulk class charge and it creates the chits and charges the accounts. So it's not manual the way we were trying to capture it before. There's an automated way to do it. Yes, go ahead.
Just as a caveat to that, you get a lot of walk-ins and the classes are not full and they're not registered, so they would end up not being charged.
Well, and that would be the discussion of, do we not allow the walk-ins then? Is it registered? Because we require reservations for tennis courts, and I don't want to belabor this, but we require reservations for the tennis courts. And this is why you get that consistency in these tennis numbers, because everybody has got to go out there and reserve a court. You're not walking on the court. If you walk on the court, Matt's going to say, did you book a reservation? So we've gotten into this lackadaisical attitude of, well, you know what, I'm just going to walk in for my water aerobics
And if
class.
there's room, they can.
And if there's room that they can. And I think that, and I'm talking unique users here, I don't think that's a significant increase in this number that you're seeing. You're making this, there'd be some assumptions that would be broad-based. But I think we need to take a look at enhancing this fitness program, making it better over the course of time. And then the only way we're going to be able to do that is, I do believe, by charging.
And I understand your position. I just think that we're talking an $8,000 difference from where they're projecting, where they're saying budget should be,
Okay,
which is a loss of 82. So a loss of 74 to a loss of 82 is an $8,000 difference.
So you're saying for
I'm
the
just saying, leave it
purposes
the
of
way they're
trim,
projected
trim
it
budget,
for
leave it
trim.
alone.
leave it
For trim.
alone, and then we can have further discussion
And we
about
can
this.
have further discussion.
I just don't want to lose sight of this, because this is truly, like, to me, like, you guys all got your areas, right?
Yeah.
This and tennis, so
I don't think we'll lose sight of it.
I won't let you lose sight of it, Ken.
I don't think the residents will lose sight.
Yeah,
I did,
all right, for the trim budget, I'm okay leaving it, but I think it involves a much further discussion.
I did have a question on what's commissions and bonus.
Support you investigating.
I didn't know, actually, that's why I highlighted it red and carried it.
Yeah, I saw that too.
I'm not sure what category you're in.
Carol, we're in the fitness.
Did you hear that? There's a lot of static on my side.
Oh, that's my paper. I apologize.
We're in the
Oops.
fitness department looking at
Thank you, that is
commissions.
much better. I can't pronounce her name. Is it Yumi?
Yes,
When she is paid through payroll, it's coded to commission and
then,
bonus.
then what's the salary and wages?
Her,
fitness?
not her, pay rate, I believe it's lessons, because it's normally like 300,
Oh.
330, something like that. for the
Gotcha.
pay period. Because she is an employee, you cannot pay as a contract person and an employee.
So then we need to extend that cost out May through September in this budget. Because,
What's in salaries and wages?
so salaries and wages is strictly her
Hourly
pay
rate.
for the number of hours that she works when she's not teaching. And then what happens is when she goes to teaching, she kind of falls under a contract, and that's where we pay her for her instruction.
Wait,
But
so-
this number is
Why
huge
no-
for that.
Why nothing for October, November, December? Is that normal?
No, I'm saying, oh, I'm sorry, you gotta budget this all the way through. And
Is
so.
it the 3,400 all the way through?
Well, no, I'll give you the number. She does 3 classes a week. All right. So the full year would be, let's just say 7,500. So you gotta, this is strictly classes. And then you can spread that evenly at 625 a month.
Hey, Carol, if you can find it, can you just see where those commissions hit October, November, December? Because it tracks to
January
zero.
was a catch-up.
January looks like it was a catch-up.
That's probably right.
Yeah, so that line that's 6,01600 should be 7,500 for the upcoming budget. That's why this number looked low, because we didn't have all the class headcount in there.
But what does she do as a salary?
So she does actually a lot. What she is doing is she is accumulating all the information from all the classes, making sure everything gets stored. And now what she's doing for the summer months is what we did was we said, we're gonna keep 27 classes a week, but when instructors take vacation, we're canceling those classes. So she's constantly going into the
Okay,
system and
that's fine.
maintaining. She's much more actively doing
That's fine.
this employee role under Matt.
Okay, that's fine with me.
Yes. Yeah.
The people here do things, I
Yeah.
just don't know what they do.
So that explains why this number was lower than I thought it should be.
And
So
she-
it's
she's
more like
budgeted
85,000.
10 hours a week.
Okay.
10 hours a week for
10 hours
that,
a week.
yeah, and that's her payroll, that's wages and salaries, and then her commission and her classes then should total 7,500. Mhm.
So as
So-
you'll see, the contract labor line is a little high,
Right.
but that's going off of the trends we're seeing. I don't know how it falls off in the summer. You might know this very well, I probably could have emailed you. But we have about a $4,080 delta to pick up. If we are trending to historicals, then I've got 7,000 of cushion in the contract labor line. So if I need to grab the 4,080 there.
I think you need to leave that 55 as is.
Okay.
That 55 needs to stay as is, this is basically an incremental $4,000 that goes into
Okay,
this
and
line.
it's okay if we add that and then next budget review.
Yes,
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
4,080.
yeah, it's 4,000 in the commissions and bonus is where you
Okay.
want it. And
So
then
that'll
get
take the
7,500.
loss to,
Yeah.
keeping everything status quo, the loss to 8640, 477.
Before you do that though, I guess that was one of my questions, was why is contract labor going up 15% over the forecast?
It appears to be trending high, and I kept that going. I would guess, but it's a guess, that summer is gonna fall off, but I don't know that here. But that is the budget.
We're trying to recoup those classes on a weekly basis by people taking their vacation and canceling the classes. Traditionally, what happens in season is if there's an instructor that can't do a class, we had an unusual situation where one of the instructors canceled her classes this past winter. Okay, and that's why it was a little lower. She broke her knee, leg, she had surgery, something. So that was lower because that individual, we did cancel her classes. That obviously isn't gonna happen unless something happens like that going forward. I think this number is solid at the 55,000 plus unis. And we also had canceled quite a number of our water aerobics classes this winter because of the cold weather. So,
And then you said a strategy for them too is all the vacations and everything, you were not gonna replace those classes, so they would drop off.
This
Rather-
summer only.
This summer, okay.
This, for the summer until September 30th only. So I've got a 16-week period where I'm trying to make up 3 classes a week for 16 weeks. Yeah. Mhm.
My other question on this one was music and cable service.
Mhm.
Seems ridiculously high.
So, can I answer, Jamie?
Go for it, yes.
This includes the audio fetch, the cable TVs in the fitness centers. Keep in mind, this is combined fitness center and fitness studio. Plus, we have the audio in the fitness studio.
Still think it's high.
And the TV.
I mean, we, for internet in a home where you have this many TVs, we pay $50 a month.
Yeah.
What,
Well,
why?
this is a service
So-
where individual TVs on there can be changed, the channels can be changed.
Yeah, but that's audio fetch. Audio fetch does that. That's the audio fetch thing, but the actual TV should be.
Yeah, so I don't know, are you guys allocating the
Doesn't
TV
make sense
cost?
to me.
Yeah.
It maybe
Yeah.
just, are we doing the right thing? But it just doesn't make sense.
I mean, you can get, we have Wi-Fi here, you can just get Hulu and it's free.
Right, and I have 4 TVs in my house that are never on the same channel and.
Well, but I
But
think
the
it's like,
instructors did not want a Bluetooth, so we had to do some hard wiring in the fitness studio. I will follow up with this.
But you can still Bluetooth Hulu. Roku, I mean.
The instructors did not want to.
as a,
Bluetooth.
as
wanted to
a
hook up to the
Anyway.
system.
typically commercial operation, can we, it's why the NFL packages
No.
are more expensive.
I mean, you can, but you're not supposed to.
You're not supposed to.
Okay,
And we're government,
If you're,
guys.
you need to get on a business account or something.
Yeah.
I agree though, Cheryl, I
So
thought
this
that
is
number.
accurate. It just struck
This
me
just
as
takes,
being.
now, I would need to look into the detail of what is being tracked there, is it supposed to be tracked there? This is taking historical tracking
Mhm.
and
It's not a
extending it
huge number, it just stuck out.
and looking at it all right now. I mean, there's a mood media, but this is gonna grab every department. I'll take a closer look at that, make that note, just to see if something is hitting there that should not be hitting there, and then I'll allocate it to the proper department. By the way, I did go back and look in the financials at, the music and entertainment. It is all music and entertainment. It is
Okay,
trivia, bands,
Okay.
all that stuff.
So events is no decorations, it's just gold.
Yes, sir. Jump to tennis.
Yes.
Tennis, there's a good chance that income from tennis is actually better than that. Don't want to be too aggressive with that, but Matt's certainly getting traction, great tennis pro, and but that's getting paid out largely anyways. Drop down to the tennis wages line, and again, please take a look at the note to the right. We were absent a pro, or we had a different compensation structure for the prior pro and then absent for a little bit. So you'll see that those few months are $7,000-8,000, I would say artificially lower. So if you added that into the 77 forecast, you'd be more at 85-ish. We've also got a balance of court maintenance assistants. I think it's a little bit more than what we've been tracking at, but that's been very inconsistent. I would say that's a number we might want to add to. I know there's sensitivity to the amount of facilities and maintenance people that we have, but Matt's a great pro, and great pros don't mind helping out grooming courts from time to time. At some point, as their lesson load gets busier, they're not going to want to do that forever. So you do need daily court maintenance down there. I don't know that you need some days with double maintenance. My courts are so busy, I need grooming in the morning and grooming again at 4 or 5 o'clock. So they're ready for people that come in the evening. This only accounts for, sorry, I should have pulled that up already.
It's 20 hours a week. 25.
So I've got a question
I
for
think
you on
that's
this. So what Jimmy just said, so if Matt's wants to get busy with tennis, we then are paying the tennis pro to do little to no maintenance, to then be here to make private lessons for which we get no revenue on.
We
So
do get
then we-
revenue.
we get 10% kickback.
Okay.
That's what it looks like,
Well,
yeah.
it's a, we're virtually minimal revenue, to then have to then hire an additional maintenance person to do the maintenance that we're not getting. So the busier he gets, the more it costs us.
Tennis pros never done
That's
that.
standard fare for that type of industry, in this type of club setting. In most clubs, if you require your head person to groom courts,
Right.
they won't stay.
I think our prior pro never groomed a court.
He never
had-
did.
We always
never
had
did.
a
I
part-time
think
I
person.
don't mind a part-time person, let's say, but if Matt's chipping in, but if we have to hire an additional person on
No,
top of
this,
that.
I thought this was the part-time person.
No, but Jimmy, as Matt gets busy, we might need an additional part-time person. That was my,
But it's not in here.
Yeah, I don't think that's in here.
Okay.
I don't think that number is in here, but, so I know this is the high benchmark.
Can I ask a question for clarification? Your note, a half a maintenance employee, that's all that's in here is the half a maintenance employee, right?
Correct.
Half-time maintenance, yeah, so it's not an additional.
well, no, but he said, I was just asking for the future, not necessarily for this, I was just more of a strong
In the
reflection.
future, I mean, if you want it to be a quality experience, how it looks, plays, and feels, I think you need a full-time person. So we're not putting that in yet.
Yeah,
There's a couple
we're
other,
not a tennis club, though. Tennis is the amenity.
yes, we are.
We're not a club.
I think,
His name's
I think if you look at it from what we now have, I don't remember the prior pro's name, and he was a great kid. But compared to what you have
No,
now,
I know.
Oh, no, that's,
Yeah,
oh, it's like,
No.
I'm not,
you want to keep that, we need to move in the right direction.
Well, and there's one other thing I would add here too is back when, we got here 8.5 years ago, there was a pro and an assistant pro. And the pro did not groom courts, but we also did not have pickleball courts and we did not have an interest in bocce. And one of the things we do have with our current tennis pro is he's now wearing many hats that didn't exist.
And he's
years ago.
supporting fitness right now, too.
He is, he is, and I
Yes.
think what I would say is we should staff it according to what's gonna take care of our very valuable asset of the courts. There are really only
I agree.
a couple of facilities in the Venice area,
Mhm.
other than the Oaks, that have this kind of a facility, which is a draw for the community, for people to buy homes here.
And that's an incredible pro. It's rare to find someone that understands the business, jumps in everywhere, will
And he's
maintain
out here doing
courts.
bocce lessons and organizing bocce and pickleball, and he's doing all of it.
no, it's not days, I'm not saying anything, it's been night and day
You're
since
just
it's been,
talking
Yeah.
here.
it's been night and day. I
No,
mean,
it's good to ask the question.
So wait,
But I think Jill has a point with, we didn't have pickleball courts. We didn't have a lot of stuff when we had a half-time employee. So
Mhm.
this may need some increase. Is it another half-time employee? I mean, what did you budget for fitness? I mean, for facilities and admin?
1.5%.
You have 1.5 there and then a half here.
No, it's 1.5 total.
Yeah, there might be a quarter in facilities.
Yeah.
So we have a main position and a little extra.
Yeah,
That little extra would help cover both.
well, and, sorry, Greg, I realize I'm interrupting you, but my memory is so terrible if I don't get it out now, it will be lost forever. One of the other, places in the area that has a nice facility, although fewer courts, they have somebody who splits their time between caring for the courts and caring for the pool. And I just want to get out there that I think our pool area also needs some attention. And that's something to think about, is that it isn't, we need to be careful not to be totally tunnel vision on that it's tennis, because what this person does is he does the courts and then he goes and he takes care of the pools. And then he comes back after the morning tennis playing is done at 1:00. He grooms the courts again, and then he's done for the day. So I'm just saying it's a possibly multi-utilitarian role.
when you say pool, are you talking about cleaning up the chairs, making
Yes.
sure the pool deck's
Yes.
organized? Okay, got it,
Yes.
okay, all right, thank
Yes,
you.
it's a
All right.
Venice Golf and Country Club.
Okay,
Yeah.
A
gotcha.
couple quick things, like
Sorry.
even if you look out the
I know,
door, that's what
got all
the chairs, the swing
Yeah,
chairs, the
yeah, yeah.
tables that are being repaired. And one thing I think that everybody should have a conversation with Matt about is some of the facilities for tennis that have been neglected for years.
Oh, gosh.
Oh, I know.
I'll give you
I know.
two or three examples, and everybody may not be in tune with them, but the boxes for the irrigation system, the clay and the brick that surrounds the courts.
The trenching.
The trenching was my next one on my
Exterior.
list.
Yeah.
You know, I guess Matt was hired as an advisor years ago, and he recommended that they put a
Yes.
trench around the
They
court,
did
and it's
nothing.
never been done.
Yeah.
So Matt is literally digging a ditch with
Yeah.
one of our facilities maintenance
Sure.
guys to make it happen in preparation for hurricane season, so we don't lose clay over the bricks, which is another step down.
Money right down the hill.
The maintenance package of, you've got your tennis pro digging a ditch, and there's bricks that surround the clay that are rotted and falling apart that need to be replaced, that haven't been replaced for many years. Not to mention the control valves that there's 36 of
Yeah.
for the courts and the boxes. So there's just a lot of facilities maintenance kind of stuff. And then it can lead right into the pool and the aquatics area with the pool equipment coverage that needs to be taken care of. Anyways, I don't want to go down the rabbit hole, but there's a lot of facilities maintenance that is falling on Matt's shoulders.
Sure,
that he's
absolutely.
stepping in. So that's my.
So there's 1.5 total in the whole budget.
Across the two departments of tennis and I'll call it facilities, which is rolling down. We have 6 hours,
And you had a person, you had a pool attendant.
which would be that's over a 5-day calculation. So yeah,
Okay,
not even
so hold on,
a
let's-
3/4 of a person, basically, spread to those two departments.
So if you increase from 1.5 total to 2, what is a half of a maintenance FTE cost?
If we simply doubled what we have, because I just did this, if we simply double what we now have in tennis and make it 45 or whatever,
Okay.
we put $23,000 more in that line.
Okay,
That equates to a very, very, very small amount when you're talking about.
Exactly.
so I've got a question for you then in regards to the repairs. I see a number of 13,400. And it says hard true resurfacing at 2,000 a quarter. Are you, well, we usually freshen up the clay. And in the past, we've freshened up the clay once a year, and it's $18,000 a year. So does Matt have a different plan in place that we can kind of save this $5,000? Because that number's always been like 18,000 with.
Yes.
well,
And he
George
said that
or-
typically in
That's
the
right.
past, and the way he's seen this club has done it, it's a one-time shot at $18,000.
Yes.
I just talked to Matt about this yesterday.
Uh-huh.
He prefers to do it quarterly
Okay,
and even monthly, but
Okay.
he prefers to make the clay purchase quarterly and groom and resurface over the course of the year. So it's not just done once.
okay.
That's why he asked for the budget to be spread out over 4 quarters, which he also said would be less than the $18,000.
Well, so is I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
So is it anticipated then that our own staff would then distribute the clay, or does this also include the vendor having a head?
Our staff.
Yeah, it is
So-
mostly-
So then basically we're saving
Absorbing
the
that.
cost of, so that's our staff doing that as part of the main, that'd be another
And
reason
it
that
makes
we.
better sense because,
Sure.
because here's what happens.
Sure, I was just asking, yeah.
You know, when Ian came, we had just done the courts.
Yes, I know.
And it was like
Yeah.
money right down the
into
drain
it, yeah.
because all that clay got washed.
Mhm.
It's much better this
Yeah,
way.
he
Yeah,
should
no,
do
I
a
get it.
rotation or something, but with Matt, with someone like that, if you're doing it in-house, it's gonna be done right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that to me, also helps explain why we need that additional head count, because that's a resource that we need to then consider to maintain the courts on a monthly basis.
We're playing for
We're
safety.
paying for safety. Okay, all right, cool.
And the
Thank
whole
you.
facility.
Yes,
Which is
that's
aging.
the value.
Yeah, and the whole
It is
facility, which is
aging.
aging. I know.
So I'm
Okay.
comfortable with adding that.
Alrighty then.
We'll make that
That
note and then we'll
changed,
jump
yeah.
into
Yes.
aquatics, because
Yeah.
I've got a pool monitor budgeted in there.
Yeah.
So
So
we might
which is, I
still
didn't mean to
want
cut you
Yeah, a
off, I just
little
wanted to,
extra.
yeah.
Okay.
Well, is that our current pool monitor?
there's nothing hitting
We
the
have a pool
aquatics,
attendant.
not really.
No.
Well, not anymore, but we
He's doing
do.
it now. He's doing it 3 days a
We
week
have
now.
a girl.
We've had 2 different people
Yeah.
come in, didn't stay.
And, but they're not in the projection, I guess is my point. We had someone, are they in the projection?
No.
Okay.
Nothing hitting the aquatics P&L.
Okay,
If Keith is rotating over for a little bit, he's hitting the department he's currently hitting most likely, not aquatics. So that said, let's say 5,000 of his payroll is pool related, hitting admin, and I'm building it in, we might have a $5,000 cushion there, but I'd have to dig into that more closely. So right out of the gate, that's the big increase in aquatics.
So I had a question on the aquatics budget. The numbers don't foot.
Yeah.
I think I'm missing I don't know what I'm missing, but if you look at like the October 25 to 26 budget,
Yeah.
it does not come to 96,000. It's like it's adding a
Something doesn't add.
salaries number, but it's not really
Let's see.
footing. Something's not in there. And that in the forecast, both of them don't foot.
Right.
Let me try to figure out what's going on there. Any line items you want to walk through?
Yeah, I would like to understand what's in repairs and equipment, because I just don't feel like that number's high enough.
Well,
I mean, you would know better
well,
than
we,
me,
we've
Rich.
replaced, we've replaced a lot of the equipment. And then the other equipment that's gonna get replaced will be the geothermals.
In reserve.
What
And that comes out
about,
of reserves, not out of the operating budget.
What-
So
no.
I don't think there's not a lot of things left. I mean,
The chairs cost $199 to get new slings, we have 11 right now, that
That's-
need new
okay,
slings, we need
that's-
another 10 next year, we need at least 2,500 in repair of chairs.
Chairs and
okay,
tables.
then that's your answer then.
So my other question is that I know there was an issue with the pumps behind the tiki bar last year, where the pumps were not aligned, they were off balance, and that was causing something in the inside to rub and
That's been fixed.
that has completely been
That's been
fixed.
fixed.
Okay,
That's
all right,
been
so we don't have to worry about that expense going into the
No.
next year.
And
Okay.
it's a lot of, the pool equipment right now is, for the most part, is working well. The big thing is the geothermals, which are still working.
Yes,
We're trying to, we're working through.
but that's reserved.
That's reserves, and
Yeah.
we're working through that. And then also, when we do that, when we do the geothermals, that will also affect the heaters and the pumps and a lot of other equipment along with it as well. We get reconfigured,
Okay,
so
okay.
that should help keep this pretty static.
Can I just ask that maybe we bump up that repairs and equipment to 20 grand? It's a couple $1,000s. I just think, that was mentioned, the pool furniture is, already 4 years old. So
So in other words, to keep it in line with the forecast.
I think so. I think we need to.
We
That's
need
all.
to understand, yeah.
You
No?
wanna make it 21 then?
No, well, Cheryl, what was your thought on that?
Well, I'm just kind of want to know what the number foots to when we get down. The number that foots now on budget is 67,817. That's a big difference from 97. So I guess before we talk about what we're budgeting, I'd like to know what we're actually what the actual forecast and budget was last time.
Working on it.
I know you're.
I was just gonna say, well,
Can I
this
take a break?
is
Let's take a 5-minute break. Okay.
great minds think alike.
What if that anything to do with the lift?
With what?
The lift.
The lift bridge and caps, that have been reserved.
Here we go.
Belinda, you there?
Okay.
Belinda, you there?
You there, Belinda?
It's the 26, 27.
Oh, she's muted.
Yeah.
I'm here.
Okay.
Okay. Report back on.
Okay, thank you.
No, I know that.
Because he's reporting his back.
Okay.
Guys,
Okay, great.
guys, we're recording. Guys, Nancy, we're recording.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Slap me.
No.
For the record.
No.
Aquatics, did we tie?
Aquatics, yes. So what
So the
happened?
footing issue is that the rows are hidden for salaries and wages
I figure,
from the forecast and the budget.
but what are they? Give me a hint.
It is, for 25-26 budget, 28,922.
Plus benefits.
That's correct. And then tracking, to the forecast is 12,098. So what's happening is there's actually hundreds of lines within each department.
I could tell.
75% of that
Footings
is
correctly
zeros.
with those lines.
So,
Right.
what you're seeing is
Oh,
the
yes.
kind of bulk header line items, and in the case of those last two columns, he grabbed the cells when he built it, but the cells are not visible to
Gotcha.
you. So the total tracks, the total is accurate. You just can't see what it's grabbing.
Okay.
I'll absolutely fix that in the other areas. I apologize that some of this stuff should have been more tidied. The other expenses, I'd have to go through and unhide everything to see what it's grabbing, but it all is rolling up. Let me see if it's actually rolling correctly.
So the biggest difference is really the difference in forecast to budget in salaries and wages, putting in that bullet in it. That really is the difference.
That is correct. So the 12,000 that you're not seeing is exactly the gap on forecast. And the 28,9, again, is what you're not seeing. So it's just those two line items that you're not seeing, but they roll to the bottom, to the total. So if you were to put those up to the top next to the 22,968, the budget would have 28,922. Current forecast is trending at 12,000, but that's because we've got gaps and not the same coverage levels. Does that make sense? And then questions about maintenance and repairs, that maybe we need to pad that a little bit to make sure that we've got enough to cover chair expense or anything else. So what would you like me to take that to?
I like Jill's suggestion of let's just take it to what we got forecasted at 21,000, basically $21,000.
Okay.
Then my only other concern on this is we've got in the upcoming budget, we've got gas and electric, electric and gas, for 4 months out of the year, but then 0 the rest of the year. Is that simply because it got allocated into a different bucket at that point?
I think what we're seeing is, yes.
That's
exactly
shifting,
what's
okay,
happening.
fine, okay.
So that's my note out to the right, should this expense hit here. It was unusual to just see it end. So
Gotcha.
didn't know if there was a decision to track it separately. So
Okay,
what we should have in all of this is the consolidated roll-up
Consolidate.
is correct.
perfect.
We just have to redistribute it across departments.
Perfect.
That should be
Thank
a pretty easy
Thank you.
fix. And Carol had sent me an allocation, but I didn't have that calculated against everything that had occurred. So we'll just have to clean that up a little bit. That won't change the bottom line at all.
Change the consolidated.
It won't change the consolidated, so I guess my question
That's
was
correct.
gonna be, does
Yeah.
it make sense to put utilities in an allocation? Or leave it rolled up in admin?
No,
I'd like to see it.
I'd like to see it.
Allocation.
I'd like to
Okay.
see some element.
Yeah.
Even though it's
Where
just a
it belongs.
percentage,
Yeah, because this way,
it's not real.
Well-
what each amenity is, this way you know what each amenity is actually running you.
You don't
But-
really, it's an allocation.
No, but I don't think the
It gets
gas
closer.
is, because the gas for the pool has got a separate
Yeah.
meter.
Okay.
So I think we can get accurate
That's
information
good.
from that.
Yeah.
Anything else that's an allocation, I agree with, but I think if we can get the actual data, we should be putting it in.
Got it? We will fix that.
It is.
All right, jump to admin.
Yes.
Did you had a note on, before we do that on aquatics, under supplies, 705-000 on aquatics, what supplies are hitting here?
Yeah, that was just more for me.
Okay.
It didn't look out of line. I think there might have been a couple months that were spiked that, just seemed odd, because we weren't carrying much expense, but that could have been a roll up.
Got
of
it, no
several
worries.
months.
No, we're spending time on
Yeah, some of these notes are just
it. Yipper.
for me.
10-4.
All right, admin.
This one requires glasses.
Yeah, this is hard. This
Wasteful.
one's kind of tiny. I tracked some transfer fees in there. Don't really have a historical baseline for it, but that's 175 per. We just put in 2 per month. If you drop down to salaries and wages, I probably should have looked at November. We might have had a pretty big variance in November too, just depending on how payroll cycles in. But as you'll see to the far right, again, a month where we had no GM essentially, which puts us way below what would be standard. And in this, we have been tracking Keith to admin. He's kind of been in an events concierge role. He's a little hybrid everything. Most of that really applies to food and beverage, the job function that he's performing. So it has been moved into food and beverage out of admin, which is why if we did true up the forecast and make that accurate to October and November real world, we'd actually be pretty well below, and that's because I moved Keith out into food and beverage. So what we're tracking now is the GM position, lifestyles position, reception, and facilities. I have reception modeled in to give us coverage every day, not all day coverage, but I think enough to satisfy the needs of the club when residents come by and have questions or billing or any of those items. Might be a little bit of flex there, but I don't think a lot. Commissions and bonus would be bonus accruals.
What do you have in here for facilities, sorry?
For the,
So is that facilities maintenance?
it is, yes ma'am.
And how many do you have in here, 1.5?
It's more like 1.2. So we got 4 hours hitting of a assistant facilities person. 4 hours of that per day is hitting tennis. 2 hours of that is hitting this. So we have a director, a primary person. Now, in my view, you'd have a director that works, but there's a lot that needs to be done here. I mean, even just the facilities meetings I've sat in on, that director has to make a lot of phone calls, coordinate a lot of contract visits, et cetera, et cetera. But when all that's done, there should still be 20 hours a week where that person can paint some walls or do touch-ups. So we've got that position covered, I think, in what we have for salary, and then that extra 2 hours is just extra. So what you're really gonna see is, we're probably gonna have one great person and maybe a part-time person that covers whoever made the comments earlier, tennis and then pool and then back to tennis, and then another to help with facilities excess. I don't think it's too much. We could have days where maybe it feels or seems idle, but with everything we've had to repair in our short time here, certainly really only the past 4 or 5 months, there's a lot more still to do. And to maintain everything and do it the way that I think we're all wanting, not highest level, but certainly not low level, this is sufficient. Jumping back to the other expenses there, payroll taxes, no real changes there. Drop down to travel. Travel expense was obviously higher with the transition. So many people from Hampton Golf coming down. So that major expense goes away. What you have here would just be standard travel expense for training, continuing education, things of that nature. Drop down to operating costs, centralized services. The Hampton contract has it doesn't specify CPI, it just specifies a CPI rate increase. Current CPI is 3.8, I believe. I modeled that in. That could go down, could go up, but seems to be a pretty safe number to leave it at.
Back up to commissions and bonus for a minute.
That would be the bonus for GM and other positions that hit the admin line.
Okay, so the holiday fund is not in here at all?
No, sir. So that would just be an accrual. We hit every month, and depending on performance of the various positions, determined by me, and ultimately the board determines what gets distributed and paid out. Again, with marketing and advertising, that's another component of the contract, so the same CPI level increase. The member expenses were spiked because of the survey. I presume we're not doing another survey year after year, so that expense is gone.
I'll be doing every.
We do one every
Oh,
year.
you do one every year?
Yeah.
Oh, God, I had that in. Really? You do one every year?
But were
just
we
don't
thinking
do
that, I mean, obviously, we had the survey company do it this year. Weren't we gonna shift to have Hampton doing it?
Yes.
We talked about it.
Yeah, so whatever your expected cost
I
is.
shouldn't speak out of line, but that's part of what we do.
That's what I thought.
Okay.
So this.
Then that's fine.
Yeah,
I
that
thought
might
that's
be
why
like
I'm
a
asking.
$500 marketing fee or
That's,
something.
I thought that was in the, yeah, I just wanted to make sure. So
And
that's,
the beauty of what you've done
Okay.
is we can just take what you've done.
Yep.
Right.
Repackage it in our model and away it goes.
So
okay,
that is accurate.
perfect.
And
If
having
nothing
re-
else, we like the demographics. I
Right,
like to See the demographics.
We can, I mean, I'm sure you can do it through whoever you utilize. We just utilize club benchmarking, which is one of the top
Yeah.
companies in this sort of thing. Very unimpressed with, what they did for us in our survey, which made us think, why didn't we just rebuild it ourselves like we did before? But with Hampton, you can model it however you want. So if you want to see sort of data within the data, you can set up the fields to give you that information, and you can sort of view it based on that information. So if you wanted to see how many people have used the club or answered this survey, age 35 to 50 or whatever age bracket, you can set up the survey to drill down into that data.
Nice.
So good, that should stay a zeroed out expense line. I probably should not have left contract services red. I was just making sure that I figured out all of the right services to hit that line. I think I have them right. As you'll see to the far right, janitorial, that's a Hampton Golf sales platform, copier service, Geiger Vision, Tech Training Associates. I did put a little extra, the 1,000 miscellaneous. There's a number of little things, you might have to help me there, that are 200 here, 300 there, that I didn't have full scope detail to put it in this. So that's chewed up by the 1,000 miscellaneous there. Jonas at 2142 and Alliance at 2392. I don't have a great understanding of Tech Training Associates. It looks to be something to do with whenever we maybe host meetings or something like that. But when you look at Geiger Vision, Tech Training, and Alliance all combined, it's a big number. So I think we need to drill into that as a Hampton team and see if we've got redundancies or things we can
Yeah,
eliminate.
tech training helps with Jonas. So between Jonas and tech training, we're spending $5,000, $60,000 a year. And we've now lost Jonas basically as our operating, financial operating system. It's just now an ordering system for food and for court reservations. Seems very expensive for that.
I think you know this. What we'll do, we'll look at the modules that we have. It's likely, I'm not as familiar with Jonas Encore as I am with just standard Jonas platform. But I handpick all my modules because I have Jonas and Club Essential.
Okay.
So I handpick what I want from Jonas that my members like or we like, and I handpick Club Essential, and then I eliminate any redundancies. We might have some of that happening here, but if we can scale back the Tech Training and the Jonas to be what we need it for, we will scale that back.
And is Alliance still that amount? I thought it was,
No, we got-
is all we're getting.
We should be cutting
Any of
Alliance
them
back.
is-
down.
Yeah,
There were varying numbers,
Yeah.
and so that's actually something we should look
Yeah, we
at.
just cut Alliance.
I did. We just cut-
Yeah, you just cut it back
The
down.
monthly bill went from about 2,400 to closer to 2,000. The only thing that we're retaining per Steve
That's all.
Geiger was the Outlook license
Okay.
because he
The
didn't want.
Microsoft 365.
Yeah,
license.
I'm sorry, the 365
Yes.
license, but everything else with Alliance has been canceled, and that's about
So
I asked,
2,000 savings
They're charging
per
2,000.
year, per month.
per month, so that's
All for that?
25,000.
So it's for the
It's
licenses.
just literally in the last.
Hold on.
Yeah.
That's great.
That actually makes more sense to me because I was struggling with the difference between last year's actuals and the budget. It's like a $20,000 increase and a $37,000 increase, $35,000 increase to this year's budget, to the proposed budget. And I was having trouble, but even with Alliance down, I'm still, since I don't really know what's in the forecast number, Because I know that you've, tried to figure out if it's actuals, I just think that's a big jump.
I can tell you what's in that number.
Wait, so Greg, I'm sorry. So how much did the Alliance bill go down?
About almost $2,000.
24,000 for the year.
To what, to went down to $400 a month from $2,400 a month?
Something like that.
Wow,
I think it's like
okay.
2,300. That was all with the data retention.
Okay, great,
So,
okay, perfect.
I had a conversation with Steve, the guy from Bigger Vision.
Jagerson.
And he basically said that what they are offering their Microsoft 365 with full admin access to us here is the equivalent of what Hampton could provide it for.
Right.
So I asked that question and so, if it's gonna cost us just as much, let somebody else take care of it for us, right?
$400,
Yeah,
$400
$400
a month is not a lot for
Yeah.
licenses. I've got
No,
my
it's
business
not.
and it's,
Yeah,
that's reasonable.
I think Steve's long-term goal is to transition away from Alliance, but he didn't want any service interruptions during. Is that what you got out of that too, Cindy?
that's exactly what I got out of it, yes. Mhm.
Yeah, but yes, if we can cut down Jonas' tech training or TTA,
TTA.
is they, we call them up to say, I have a problem with, I can't get into Jonas today, and they fix it. I mean, that's what we're paying $2,400 a month for.
Well, I think we were paying them a lot of money in the current year because of some of the issues with tennis, weren't we?
Yes.
And training.
So it may
and training.
not be
And some
representative.
training. Last year was mostly training. Last year, when we were bringing up all the modules, I would say that we were on the phone pretty much multiple times a day with TTA. But
We should look into that now.
we absolutely need to look into this right now, yeah, because of the limited use of the Jonas module,
I mean,
modules that we have.
In the
yeah.
last 6 months, I
I
spoke to
agree.
them once when Microsoft did an update and we configured the way that they logged in. Other than that, I have not spoken to them since the day that they set me up. Well, actually, no, Greg and I spoke to them because I couldn't print. So Greg helped me figure that out, and we got them to print. So that was it. I spoke to them 2 times in a year.
Okay, so,
So what's in that is a number of Jonas charges, which are all for, annual fees, module fees. All is appropriate, but maybe could be dialed down. Full stream holdco, I'm not exactly sure what that is. It's $149 per month. Alliance is hitting,
How much was the Alliance on?
most recently $23.92, which is what I modeled here.
So you can take down the budget number by 24,000.
I don't think that's what Greg is saying. I think you're saying it went from 2,400 to 2,000 per month.
No,
Oh, wow. So did it
It
go
went from
away
2,400
completely?
No, they're
400.
holding on to our 365, so it's about 400. It's going from 24 to about 4.
Oh.
so
per
that
month.
actually gets into a number that makes more sense to me.
24,000 ballpark.
24,000.
Yeah, 24.
And that was the data retention stuff.
All right, so we'll take 2,000.
is cleaning in there as well, is that?
It is, yes, I didn't get to that. It's,
Janitorial,
300.
the first
Graceful
one.
Hearts. Let's see.
Oh, I was
Yeah.
looking at the line in
Yeah.
line, not above it, yeah.
If we model that in, we get to 131,000-ish for the year.
Yay.
So that gets us more balance between the budget and prior year.
What's copier service?
I'm sure it's toner, things like that, maybe even maintenance and
Lease.
repair. Yeah.
It's a
Yeah,
lease
it's a
copy machine.
lease.
Okay. But it's expensive. Okay.
Moving a little further down, next lines of note would be equipment repairs buildings. In my experience, typically what we do is not model up after the highest year. And so I don't think we need to do that. I don't think this is an aggressive budget, and if we just found 24,000 in contract services, we might want to slide
Yes.
some of that to repairs.
What equipment would be repaired under the admin budget?
Let me pull it up.
AC, HVAC.
I'm sure all the AC units, would be hitting admin.
That's admin, wouldn't that be consolidated, or that's the admin budget?
We can't
Consolidated,
consolidate
yeah.
without having it in the
That's
sum, yeah.
true, yeah. Okay, so it's, okay.
Kitchen.
So that could be the roof then
Kitchen,
also?
Toilets in the
You know,
bathroom.
kitchen stuff should hit food and beverage.
So that would be the roof stuff? then?
Yeah, anything generally clubhouse.
Got it, okay.
Roof would be on the next line in building.
Okay, no, I'm saying, but, okay, all right, got it, okay.
I'd rather just have those numbers on.
But then wouldn't air conditioning be repairs building, or the, it says repairs equipment, okay. All right, got it, okay.
Although if we replace a few and fix a few others, hopefully they're less than
No, we
that.
have 10
Yeah, I mean,
And who
it's gonna be
replaces
general
this
equipment repairs,
in the last couple of years?
maintenance equipment, administration equipment, and then office supplies. I should say office equipment. That's what rolls up into the summary detail of that line item. Building repairs is everything you think. It's plumbing, electrical, building, paint, things like that.
We have found some things in the year to date that can get moved into reserves.
We have, I think that occurred, did that occur for this financial package? Yeah.
And it shows
Yes,
up.
we moved 30,000, excuse me.
And we will be mindful of that going forward. I guess maybe sending that to you, Ken, or if we need to send it to everyone, just anytime there is an expense that is meant to be a non-recurring, air
No, you
quote, capital
move
like.
two different things.
Yeah.
You move some things into non-recurring, but we also talked about some things that are in both of those that could be covered under reserves.
Capital reserves, right.
Yeah, maybe 12,000.
Yes. Ken, I have a list of some of those that I'll, look at and make sure the funds are there and I can reclass them then. I didn't want to reclass them and then have to possibly move them back next month if they weren't part of the reserve. So I'll follow up on that this month.
Well, okay. Fine.
I did move one thing, I can't recall which it was, possibly painting, a painting bill, does that sound right, Ken?
It was
That
the
we covered
final,
was definitely part of the reserve?
yeah, it was the final balance, I think, from artistry.
Yeah, the 4,900.
Yes, that I did move, I took out of the, funded the P and L and put it on the balance sheet.
That one was a hurricane.
No, that was reserved.
Okay.
Your 73 went.
Rich, it's a number of, repair
Okay, no.
type things, Stanley steamers hit there, that could probably hit contract services.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's all just general clubhouse related.
Okay,
So I have a couple of things that Greg and I had talked about. And I don't know where we capture this, since I consider it to be admin, since it's in the building. I think it's important that we change out that water fountain that's outside the fitness studio and do a bottle filler. The estimate on that was about $4,000, so that wouldn't really include, that wouldn't be a capital item. And then,
It's too low.
right, so it would be capital, so
No,
right?
it's too low to be capital.
Right, right, so I'm
Nicer
saying,
one.
so I'm saying included in the admin P and L here. And then the other thing, two things that I would like included, and I'm not quite sure where we capture that,
Unless you do
This-
both.
is I would like to get away from printing registrations for the lap lane and the classes, and maybe get some tablets. Which, what, $1,000 a piece?
Or even a touch screen.
Or a touchscreen.
Touch screen on a desk.
That way it's real time in the
Right.
order.
Correct,
Yeah.
because, yeah, the issue that we have, right,
Paper is a problem.
the paper's a problem, and the other issue that we have is Jonas leaves reservations open all the time for the lap lane. So people come up here after they're done
Oh,
walking
sure.
on the boardwalk, throw their name in, while somebody at home is actually registering for the spot online.
Yeah, if you don't have somebody to key it in right away. it's-
Correct. So it's not a lot, I mean, I figure maybe $6,000 in total between the bottle filler and that. And I'm not asking to replace the water fountain that's inside the fitness center, just the one that's outside the studio. Yeah, there you go, yeah.
So I sent that,
Right,
I sent
but-
that to Nancy, it's a bottle filler and a bubble.
Correct, but that's just the price of the unit.
Yeah,
They have to
but it's-
repipe.
It's gotta be repaired.
Repiping's gotta be done in the back. Yeah, that's what the cost of the 4,000 was.
Okay, that's a lot of repiping, okay.
So we're adding,
That includes installation?
Yes,
4K was.
Oh.
so where are we
So
adding
the
this?
installation's gonna cost more than the unit?
with the repiping and everything, I think so, yeah. That's the way it
We
works.
had two plumbing quotes.
So we adding that in repairs building?
Or non-recurring, I don't know.
Or non-recurring, but you're adding 44,000?
I'm adding 6,000, 4,000 for the bottle filler and 1,000 apiece for each of the touch screens,
It would be non-recurring.
non-recurring.
Shouldn't that be in fitness, the touch screens?
Yeah, you can throw, you can throw it in fitness or aquatics,
Or
you know, one in aquatics, one in
Put it
fitness.
Where it belongs then, yeah.
Yeah, one in aquatics, one in fitness. And then the bottle filler can stay in admin. Sure. Thank you.
Sorry, I'm making these adjustments now. as
No,
we
yeah,
go.
you're fine. Thanks, Jamie. I probably should have sent you an email on
Oh,
that,
no,
then
no,
you could
this
have
is
put them
good.
in there right away.
Easy for me to do this, very easy. I'll just add it here for now. And I'm sorry, we're adding both of those expenses below the line, non-recurring.
Yes, please. Yeah.
So how will that affect, because I just, what I did for that capital reserve non-recurring in the admin budget was what was budgeted this year, I just carried it again. So, we have 30,000 in non-recurring expense budgeted below the line currently. Should I increase that to 36 or just assume that the 6 comes out of the 30?
I think the 30 is sufficient.
I think that, if that's what you've got in there now, yeah.
30 should cover it.
Then
That
I'll,
should
I'll
cover it.
So you don't
rebalance
really
it,
need
so
to-
I'll do,
So you don't
the-
need to do anything.
I'll do
Sorry,
the
I just
6
didn't see, I
grand.
didn't see that line.
I'll do the 6 grand in the first month, so we just get it done right
Perfect.
away. And then I'll back them down to balance out.
I have a couple little questions.
Okay.
Pest control, I don't know why it's going down because it's such a big issue.
right.
It's a little thing, but it's like,
It's a pest.
it's a pest. It's a painful thing.
Let me pull that detail up.
Maybe we've given up with one of the pests.
I mean, if we've had a contract decrease, that's one thing, but
Well, the mosquito mister doesn't really work, does it?
No. Well, it does.
Does it?
I've been out on the boardwalk and we've heard it.
Oh.
it doesn't keep them away.
That's another question. It's on.
Yeah.
We've got.
Jamie, I want to say also for past that mosquito mist, Greg may recall as well if this is accurate, but we received some past due invoices when we took over.
Yeah.
That's
We-
right.
Yeah, it was
Gibson
a-
took over.
yeah,
That's
we
right.
just-
So there might be expenses that,
Inflated.
there might be more than 6 months or 7 months of expenses in there.
That's what the forecast is. Okay, then that makes sense. No problem. You don't have to look any further.
Yeah, it looks like, so we've got Nature Zone, might need to up their contract at 275, but they might not be providing what you need if there's problems. And then mosquito mist is hitting, and it's pretty consistent. So no changes in those, just a continuation.
Just what Jamie said too, Nature Zone proposed upping our contract to include a more comprehensive mosquito control program. But it was an additional, I think, $350 a month. So I did not do that because of budget. But if that's something you want to look at, Nature Zone is the same company that coordinated the bee removal. So I have good things to say about Nature Zone. And Carol, you're right, we did incur, I think it was not only 3, maybe 4 invoices for the monthly service charge from mosquito swat or swat mosquitoes, but there was also some repair and maintenance invoice that was hanging from, I believe, March of 2025, and we paid that too.
So are you saying Nature Zone would be an additional 300?
If we wanted to up their contract, like Jamie was alluding to, so we had more than just the bare bones pest control, which is what they provide, they have other upgrades that they can do and will do. We just didn't have them budgeted.
So it's 350 in addition to what we're currently doing?
Yeah, I'm gonna say it's closer to, I don't know that it's, don't quote me on the exact number, but it was more expensive than could just be assimilated into the budget. So they have options. There's not a one upgrade option. They have different frequencies. They have a mosquito control program where they lay out mosquito traps. They also have one where they go outside the fence and go after some of the trees and bushes that surround the property. So there's different levels of programming that they offer.
Something we should look into.
I think we should up this then, back to, I mean, this
It's
is like a
understated,
constant
too.
source.
I just went through the P and L detail and when I balance out what should be hitting there, and I need to check the other departments, it should actually go up to 6,500
Okay.
baseline. Now, if we increase nature zone, it needs to go up further from there.
Oh, let's put 10, you know, if it should be 65, I'd say go to 10. And this gives us some flexibility, so it gets us relatively close to what
Right.
Greg
Okay,
was
I
talking
agree.
about.
A little big issue.
Well, I
Oh,
mean,
it
yeah,
is, yeah.
yeah, because especially if we're losing revenue with Tiki Bar because mosquitoes go crazy. That's a big thing.
So, add that up to 10,
Yes.
so I'll do, what, $850 a month roughly?
Yeah.
Now, we captured, 24,000. Did we want to move any of that into repairs? We captured the 24,000 from the
Right.
contract services.
Okay.
So
I
we just grabbed 6 of that
Mhm.
with this change, which leaves about 18 left. I did model in $4,000 from one of the other departments already, but we can make that up.
Would you put it in buildings?
Put the whole thing, put the other like 18, well, at 14, because we took 4.
It may not be quite that amount. I need to go through all of our
Yeah.
notes and make
I
sure.
would
I'm-
just split it between buildings and equipment.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
it's a trim
Just
budget,
split it
and if we don't spend it, we save it, it's a good thing we
It's a
have.
good thing we
It's a
had
good
it.
thing we have it.
Yep. Agreed.
All right,
Because
so-
you don't know what you don't know.
So you said just gave away, we got 18, so I'll spread 9.
Is the insurance,
That was what we talked about, right? I know I had that question. We talked about an insurance increase a couple months ago, based on your insurance requirements. Is that what that is, that increase?
This represents our current build-out amount. Maybe a minor increase when we get back there. I've just gone through some insurance stuff, not renewal time, but it felt like renewal. Every agent is saying that the market is softening. You know, they always say this. If we have a bad hurricane season, who knows what'll happen, but it definitely has softened from what we reviewed 3 months ago.
Okay.
Now, if we have a bad hurricane season, that can go out the window. Even the agent I just recently spoke to said across the board, everything is softening. Let me just pull up the detail of the charges that it hit.
Hey, Cheryl,
Yes.
I did send you a question about insurance. I just want to be sure that Hampton covered the property insurance coverage here, which was the amount that I sent in the schedule in the Excel worksheet. It was, the total was 40, that's how you written,
47,000?
47,000. Is that under the property liability or just the insurance line item? Because, I'm not clear on that. I know that they have additional coverage, they have an additional policy, yes, but we need to be sure that the property coverage is part of this number, whether it's 804,100 or 804,000.
Okay.
Because the board, I asked, I don't know if you guys remember, but I did ask if we wanted to just leave it under the general fund, but the board said that the river club's portion will fall under the river club.
Yeah.
Right, so which of these two lines reflect that?
Jamie is looking, and I presume Carol is looking as well.
So within the 98, almost 9,900 figure, there's liability coverage, that's 3642 per month. There's an umbrella policy, that's 1959 per month. There's cyber, EPLI, maybe a few other ancillary things, that's only 413. And then there is, this is CCD secured insurance. Not exactly sure what that is. That's 3,884.
Which is about 47, right?
CDD,
Which is probably what it is, it's CDD.
Yeah.
CCD was.
This says CCD, could have been a typo.
CDD.
Let me go back
What
another
was the
month.
figure again, Jamie?
The CED figure is 3884.
Okay.
Yeah, I have the policy at 46,610.
Okay, so that is the policy. Okay. Okay,
So it's in there.
okay, Belinda?
Shazam.
Before we move to next review, I will get with the agent,
Okay.
kind of get some firm statement of what he's seeing as to whether we'll have a marked increase in the policy at renewal time
Or a decrease.
or decrease. Everything I'm hearing, it should be a decrease. But again, depends on the size.
Good, but
All right, so all of that,
Wait,
oh,
well, this, I want to ask about this capital reserve line,
yeah.
because I don't understand it for this year, so I certainly don't understand it for next year.
Well, that's a Belinda. Didn't we talk about that? That's the, I thought we were trying to beef up, 2 budget cycles ago.
Right.
We talked about beefing up River Club capital, because we had essentially nothing in there. So we agreed at that
Yes.
time.
I don't understand why it's in the operating budget as opposed to the capital reserve
Oh,
budget.
It's
We
just
don't
moving,
have a separate capital reserve budget. So we don't have separate budgets for capital reserves. That's why it fell under the River Club budget, and that's why it was added there. So the River Club is considered an enterprise fund. So this is why we include it as part of our financials. But when the board made the decision to add this as a line item, it was included in the River Club budget because you're just basically making a transfer from the River Club operating fund into a capital reserve account
makes
that you
sense.
have.
It's gotta be in the income
But you
statement.
don't have a capital reserve
Got
budget
it.
wherein you
Right.
have budgeted lines for a capital reserve. You don't really have that.
Right. Okay.
Makes sense.
So I'm not sure why it was included this year, in this year's budget. That's something that you may or may not at this point want to discuss. I know that it was brought up last year and the board decided to include it last year, but I'm not sure whether or not it's needed in this year's, well, next year's operating budget.
Well, so,
Let me ask the question first. How is the River Club going to repay the capital loan that was taken from the reserve fund to fund Jonas/Pizza Oven? There's a due from the reserve accounts. And if we don't, and it was a capital, they were both capital items. So it seemed to me this money would go to refund the River Club reserves where it was borrowed from.
Oh, I see what you're saying, yeah.
We have to have a way to fund it back.
Get it back into the
and
proper
it was
bucket.
it's a 2-year thing, right, Ken? It was a
Sorry?
2-year, wasn't it a 2-year plan?
Theoretically,
I think
yes.
so,
We said,
yeah.
we'd
Yeah,
pay it back over 2 years.
right. And
That's
then,
correct. That's correct. But I think this goes back to the allowance that we had in the reserve last year, Ken, that you and I went back and forth on. Because there was an additional amount included in order to fund whatever needed to be funded. And that's in the worksheet. I can send that to you.
Okay?
and now I'm lost.
So
So is the repayment?
so how's it actually gonna
included?
take place?
Right.
Well, what happens is towards the end of the fiscal year, we just would transfer the funds over. So it's not a monthly transfer, we would just do one transfer.
That's fine.
But is it these funds are the funds that would get transferred to repay? That's what I'm confused
So I
about.
thought.
Happens it back on the actual fiscal year when it's supposed to take place. I'm not sure, was it this fiscal year or the following?
It was this year and next year,
Next year.
2 years.
Okay, so that explains, hold on. Because I'm going into the worksheet, let me go into last year's worksheet. So that explains the allowance that we had,
that was last year, this year.
well, this year. I remember, I'm thinking back, but
January.
let me go into the budget worksheet.
For the piece up in sort of in
It
September.
was, I think it was 25,000. I have to go back and double check, but
Each
Would
year?
have been 25.
so what we did have, yeah, that's what it was. So when we finalized the budget, we had an allowance in here for, hold on,
In where?
in the actual reserve for, it was 29,762.
Okay, so we funded the reserve an additional 25,000 to repay itself.
Correct. That was for 25, 26.
So this is additional,
Yeah, this would cover like bocce court.
right, exactly,
But
which makes sense, okay.
And then, am I clear too that we had talked about the, payment for 2 sets of architect drawings for La Sala? And that would come out of,
That's operating until it becomes a capital
Correct.
project.
Well,
I thought it was the
I have a
reverse.
no,
no.
no, it's an expense until it becomes active and then it's capitalized, yeah.
The question is would it hit the operating expense or just the balance sheet? And it would not hit the operating expense and or reserves until we decided to go forward.
That's what I thought.
I think it's a balance sheet item.
That's what I thought.
You think the architect's a balance sheet item? I think it's the other way. I think it's operating, and then once you
It
start
would be-
building out
it
the
would be
capital, it
reserves
becomes
if you're
WIP
going to,
and
okay,
capital.
there's a lot of components on La Sala that are current reserve versus what you are upgrading and adding. So
Okay,
you would need to decide where you want to post these transactions. Do you want it to come out of the River Club Reserve? Or do you want it to come out of the River Club operating budget or the capital fund? It's a decision that you need to make.
Is there,
Correct, but I didn't think that decision would take place until we decided to move forward with the project.
You don't have to make that decision right now, Ken, but.
No, but
if
I'm
you
saying,
decide- if-
when-
The purpose of having this conversation is if you decide that you want to have some sort of an amount in the budget, now is the time to do it, because after June 15th, you can't.
right, yeah.
But I don't know why Hampton included it. I don't know if the board gave Hampton direction to put that amount in there. But it's something for you to discuss now, that you have the opportunity to do so.
maybe it's government accounting as opposed to business accounting. But if I were running a capital project in a company, everything would go into the balance sheet until we were ready to record it as an expense or a capital item. What I'm hearing you saying, it's an expense regardless, and then you can move it out of expense when you capitalize it?
No. I'm talking about what Hampton has here as part of their budget. I'm not talking about the balance sheet whatsoever, Ken. That's a total different discussion. So you asked the question as to why the capital reserve is here. I don't know why there's a $75,000 allowance in here for this fiscal year. So I don't know if you had a discussion with Hampton and asked them to include it
No,
for La Sala. I don't know, but it would be part of their balance sheet, obviously, if you have it listed as an expense.
So let me
So
ask you a question.
we're talking about fiscal year 27.
yes.
So it's a question for Jamie, but I think he just put it in here
Yes.
because there was an amount in the current year.
Yes,
Yes,
So
sir.
maybe the question is, if we want to include 45,000 for plans for La Sala and then a little extra to fund capital, is this where the 75,000 belongs?
75.
Yes, because you don't have a separate budget for capital reserves or capital expenses
Right.
unless you take it out of your reserve.
This
It
makes,
would
this
show
makes
as an
sense.
expenditure under your reserve if you choose to spend it out of your reserve.
And that's what I understood 2
Yes.
Fridays ago.
Mhm.
Yes.
And it sounded very important because we constantly have capital-related stuff that should not hit the P&L. But your direction as to what that number is, if it goes away or
I think
bigger,
it makes
smaller.
total sense to keep it in. I mean, we have to keep building.
but let's be clear, it's 75 is needed for 2 sets of architects' drawings. There's a preliminary set, and then there's a set that would have to go out to bid. So LaSala alone would be 75, just so we're clear.
So I'm hearing it's,
But going
it's an
back,
expense.
I need to clarify capital reserve in general, because this is a conversation that I've had with Jill in the past. Capital reserve came about with non-reoccurring. So whatever excess there was at year end, eventually the board decided to transfer into a capital reserve
That's right.
account.
Makes sense.
But there was never really a capital reserve budget.
Correct.
Because you always have to keep in mind that you have to have at least 2 to 3 fiscal months ready to fund.
Yes.
Because you don't receive tax funds up until maybe December,
Right,
mid-December.
Right.
So you have to be able to fund your operating expenses until you start receiving the funds.
And we borrowed 250.
Right,
if you
last year.
recall. Yeah,
That's cash flow.
it is, it's cash flow.
So,
So that's really how the capital reserve came about. The district never really had capital reserve budgets. You had reserve budgets, and yes, you had reserve accounts. But this came about when non-reoccurring expenses, came in less. And at one point, a decision was made to move this into a capital reserve, but there's never really been capital reserve budgets.
And if we decide to go forward with LaSala, however we decide to finance that, wouldn't those plans be part of that financing that we'd be paying back that money anyway? As part of the financing,
we would just finance that much less.
or financing.
The question is,
Yeah.
the category, sounds like the way it's accounted for here, it's an operating expense until it isn't. It's an operating expense. If we choose to go forward with LaSala, it would become part of capital reserve as part of the big project.
Right.
So I guess it's part of expense. So the 75 would cover
Yes,
that cost.
yes.
Yeah, I would like to see another 50 in there though, of just cush.
Push.
Just so you know, we haven't spent any money in that account through March. So right now.
So that
we have a
75 is still tucked
$75,000
away?
budget For fiscal year 26, and we
Okay.
have 0 expenses.
So we're already cushed.
Well, I don't know
So what you're saying-
what we're doing with bocce.
But,
We haven't talked
I'm
about
saying,
it.
so
We're not
probably
gonna
haven't
do
spent
it
any of
this
that money.
summer.
Nothing's happening with bocce.
but this is my question then for Belinda, is if we haven't spent anything in that yet,
Yes, nothing happened.
and we run into a situation where we're in a short position, is that money available for us to recoup? Like, to me, if we underspend,
That money would be moved into capital reserves, into reserves is my understanding.
just into reserves.
But if you overspend on your fiscal year and you don't have the funds to cover your expenses, then no, you do
Okay.
not have those $75,000 to spend at the end of the fiscal year.
Thank you. So we theoretically didn't have that 75,000 from last year because we needed the 250 to cover all of our spending.
It was budgeted for, but if you overspent,
Right,
the funds are not there.
correct. So the 75,000 from last year, Byron, isn't there, even though we never had a transaction to
You
go
mean
against
from
it.
this year, he's talking
I'm sorry,
He's talking 26 actual.
26.
Right
Current
now.
year.
Current
right
year.
now.
We haven't spent any of the 75.
Okay, so we didn't need to use that 75 to recoup our loss from last year, Belinda? The overspending? I guess that's my question.
I would say so, because if you overspent on your budget fiscally, you needed those funds, you collected those funds from the tax collector's office. So there's no way that at this point, if you are over budget, you can say, okay, I'm just gonna take 75,000 and transfer it over.
Yeah.
Unless
It's
we
gone.
are
It's gone.
at the end of the fiscal year and we see that in some way, shape or
Unless it's
form,
left at the end
your,
of the year.
your prior year balances, meaning whatever you have,
Mm-hmm.
are positive, but
It
in
just
this
it becomes a
fiscal year, for
surplus.
example, that's not how it's reflecting.
To me,
Less
that's
of less of a loss for this year.
correct. Thank
You
you.
know, last year we spent $54,000 with 0 budget.
That's my point. Yeah, okay. All right, so this is kind of a slush fund, plus and minus, so. As long as we don't overspend this year, we have that 75.
Well, it's not a slush fund unless you,
Unless you
for
overspend, underspend.
example, if we choose to put in bocce courts,
Mhm.
where's that money come from?
Right, that would be an example of that,
Yeah.
right. Mhm.
Any capital line.
Right, yes.
You need to analyze your cash position versus, whatever liabilities and expenditures you
Right.
have to see where you are at the end of the fiscal year.
Mhm.
And then you have to take into account the first 3 months at least
Right,
of the next fiscal
We
year.
have cash.
And then whatever
Make
you
sure we have
have
cash.
remaining, you can choose to move
yes.
into,
That's
whether
where we
it's
want to use
capital
this.
or whatever fund you want to as a board, you can make that decision. But you have to analyze it.
She'll go to you.
So- So do we want to include the money for the architect in this line? I mean, that's one thing we haven't accounted for,
Well,
Jill.
Well, it
I
seems
agree
like
with
we
what Ken
do.
said.
Because I think it sounds like we're gonna be at least moving forward to that stage. So just so you guys are aware, I've talked with Nancy and Bob Raffato about a Plan B,
Okay,
which I think we need to have. We need to have a Plan B anyway. There's nothing wrong with the plan that was submitted.
Okay.
The question is, if the community isn't ready for all of that, is there a Plan B?
How are you gonna determine that? If the community's ready or not? You put it into
Because I
a
think
vote?
we're gonna, as the process goes along with the architect
Right.
and all that,
But how are you gonna
I assume we're
determine
gonna
that?
have town meetings. We'll
Yeah,
talk
but
about it.
we did.
And the survey, and if there's an overwhelming response is, we don't wanna spend $1.8 million on a project like that,
You know what happens? It's
I-
the negative people who show up. I still don't understand how you would determine that.
I agree with Jill. I think that's a
we can,
The minute you create a Plan B, or here's what's gonna happen. You're gonna have every negative Nelly, including who's gonna show up, and they're gonna say, we're gonna stop this. I mean, why would
Yeah.
you stick
Pitchforks
your
and
chin,
torches.
why would you stick your chin out like that? We were elected to make the hard decisions, just my opinion.
and we may decide that, hey, Plan B accomplishes what the focus groups and the community seems to want. A larger La Sala casual dining area and screened-in dining. And we can do it for $500,000 less without giving up too much.
You know this already? Or are you saying that's what you
I
asked?
have a suggestion that will do that all of you may disagree with.
Well, I don't think there's any reason not to look at ways to be, I think, maybe it's a marketing nomenclature issue, but I think we should absolutely discuss whether spending $400,000 on a metal overstructure makes sense. But
Yeah,
I
it's
think that, but the
It's just,
minute,
it's not an all or nothing.
but the minute I just think we have to be very careful what the narrative is that we put out there, because the minute we say Plan B, we have blinked.
Okay, forget Plan B. Forget the nomenclature of Plan B.
Right.
Let's call it what you just did. Consideration of things that are in Plan A that may not be necessary.
But wouldn't we do that actually when we do the first
A
set of
minus.
drawings? But it would be the first set of drawings and then you go.
Yeah.
And you have that discussion with the architect and say, do we need to do this or
Right.
can we do this?
Right.
But that's not a Plan B, it's just modifications.
Because I have no idea what costs go anywhere.
Well,
You know,
yeah,
I-
well,
we have rough estimates.
Well,
We got
and I'll make one other,
I'm suggesting we fund the 75,000 for all the things we're talking about.
Okay.
But during that process, we may conclude we don't need as much as we're
That's prudent.
suspecting.
I
That's
agree
all.
with you. I agree with you.
That's all it
It's- It's prudent, because.
So I guess I'm premature in my presentation to the work group
Yeah.
of some options.
I guess all I would say maybe in conclusion is, you may or may not recall, you and I were on facilities with Bob Raffato, and you may have gotten off the committee by the time it happened, but for example, we talked about that tiki bar do we put a kitchen in or not, blah, blah, blah. Decided to go with the way it is, and people are using it the way they're using it now is not what it was designed to be. It was not designed to be a full-service food outlet. So I think it's really important that we as a board understand how it should be used and not get swayed by this common theme we've had years here at Venetian of cheaping out and saying, oh, well, we'll just save a couple of bucks here, and then we end up.
I'm not,
So for the purposes of the budget, are you suggesting we add another $75,000 to this line?
no, I'm saying,
That 75 is,
Well, it's not
For
even
that
75,
purpose.
it's 45 is the first.
because we have no,
By the time we get the second set of plans, we're into next year. I mean, we're not.
Right. but so
we have
75
no
actually.
expectations of capital projects.
So, okay, so 75 is a good number. I think we leave the 75 as it's stated here, and it provides two purposes. It's some cash flow.
Right.
I just think we leave the 75.
I agree.
Thank you.
Does any of the 75
Great
pay for
mind.
the
Sorry, I had to
54
use that.
shortfall that you're talking about?
That is a cash flow.
That's cash
Yeah.
flow. Yeah,
We can
Yeah.
deal with that.
we'll deal with
So
that.
that's fine. Okay, so 75 it is, yay.
This is a reminder to everybody, when the pickleball courts were built, they were included as part of the River Club budget,
They were,
the operating budget.
yes, they were,
That reserve.
Okay,
Yeah.
they were. Not the full amount.
Well, the only other item we haven't gone through in admin was interest income. Not certain that's accurate.
I was gonna ask if Dana, if that's after we fix what we fixed this year? Is that how did you come up with
It
the
should be,
25?
yeah. Carol, can you jump in on that with the interest income line item? What should that be on a monthly average?
I can jump in, it is difficult for me to tell because it's been extremely low every single month. And then Ken got involved, so, give a little history, in October is 311, and then it has significantly decreased each month from November through, March, where it was anywhere from $15 to $60 a month. In April, it was $17.28. And then also in April, I think it came from Vanessa where she said they sent us a check for $7,359 for the back interest or trying to compensate us for not investing properly.
And how,
So year to date, we have $9,630.
the 7359, how many months of catch up did that reflect?
I'm assuming that's at least November forward, or maybe it includes October, Ken. There's $311 in October.
It should have been year to date, probably
So maybe it is October
at least
forward.
through February, if not March.
So then the forecast might be closer to what we should budget, rather than the 25.
Yeah,
I don't
I
want
think-
to over budget.
If
I
the
think the 25 is too high.
Yeah, if the 9629 is an accurate reflection of 7 months, then we'd have about 16.5 in the budget.
I think that's it.
And that would be about 1375. Would you like me to make that change?
Just as a reference for everybody, last year's actual on interest was $23,081.
Yeah.
So I-
Lower than that.
I used a combination of that and apparently wrong data with the 7359. I thought that was fewer months catch up.
Somewhere around 16,000.
So we're gonna use 16, what did you say your math was, 16.5?
Yes, so it'd be 1375 per month.
Okay. Sounds good.
Okay, that's it. I mean, we could jump to the consolidated. Consolidated is nothing more than a roll-up. As we very loosely discussed 2 Fridays ago, I had asked, what's the target baseline for a dues increase? Someone or many had mentioned 3.5%. So I modeled that into this to sort of back into that number almost. So that's what the assessment reflects, and I want to be sure I have that correct. I took our just billed baseline, which was 156,686, divided that out by the 1,377 homes to come to what would have been $13.79 current. I added the 3.5%
How
increase
much,
to
how
that.
much is the current?
Again, I don't know if I'm doing this correctly, but it's $113.79. And Ken had raised some questions, which made me think maybe I had something wrong in our modeling. But it's,
But Linda will do this in her worksheet, so.
But it's
1440.
zero whatever.
But
1440?
it was 1440 last year.
I need the consolidated in the format that I sent it. I got a chance to just take a look at what Jamie sent over and just add an expense line item to just get an idea on the assessment worksheet.
Okay.
But I think that Jamie, Carol, Melissa and I, we can kind of hash this out to a final format because they have a lot of line items that I didn't provide on the consolidated because our worksheet is different. So now that, you've made changes as a board, I think we can all work together to try to finalize this so that we can get the entire package before the board for review.
Yeah, because this is still showing a negative at the end.
Yeah, this has to be
So this
zero
has
at the
gotta be
bottom.
zero- This has got to be zero. You're negative almost $80,000. You could have put a zero.
And that will come from the worksheet.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Correct,
that's the next step.
We can't budget a loss.
right. So you've got the 1946 in there for your tax assessment
And
in
you
the
gotta
revenue
add
line.
79. You gotta add the
That would go.
79
And then
to
you
it.
gotta add the 79 to it to get to zero.
Well, we have a
Just
budget
to
of
give
loss.
everybody an idea, I don't want to put this out there because this is just in draft form.
Uh-huh.
Because, we definitely want to finalize this, but in putting in the numbers that Jamie did give me, the River Club is coming at exactly, I don't know how, but 3.84% increase. But this is obviously going to change based on the changes you made today. So we need to finalize the budget in the consolidated form that I need it in so that we can finish the entire packet when we review it.
Right.
Right.
I can send the board, the Excel worksheet that I currently have, but I think we still need to have some discussions. I know Ken wants to talk about security and things like that, but there are, the percentages are what they are at this point, but you've made a lot of changes today. So I think that this is not gonna be what I'm looking at right now.
So are you suggesting that we may need another workshop before June 8th?
Definitely. I think it should continue with why, because this will give us the opportunity to finalize the entire packet, make any additional changes we need to make
Okay.
before you have your meeting where you will approve your proposed budget. I can't really do much with, what I've got because obviously the format is not what I sent over. So we need to work with Hampton to try to finalize it in a way where we can implement it into our form. And then I can put together an entire packet, which is what everybody will see, which is what will be posted for the homeowners. And you can see the assessment schedules, the way that they are going to reflect. For example, with just O&M, River Club, and both reserves. Reserves, I've gotten completed because I work with Ken on those. Ken, thank you very much. I appreciate all of your work on that. And we got everything done on the reserve portion, but I still need to hash out the River Club portion with Hampton.
So Belinda, will you send
Hampton,
the
compare
final?
Hampton's consolidated worksheet to what we normally have in our financials. There's a lot of categories that we don't have. So we need to hash this out into one form so that we can include it as a final budget package.
Belinda, if you could send your final budget that you want us to input into, send that to me and Carol. This is Jamie.
Like the template, right?
Their format is slightly different. It's more consolidated than yours.
That's fine. So what we'll do is we'll keep finalizing it in our template format, and then we'll just direct key input into their template. That's not a problem.
So Belinda, do you have like a mapping, like you take our monthly financials and pull them into that same format, right?
Vanessa does it, Carol. And you and Vanessa and I definitely should talk because I don't know how she does it because, but I think between the three of us, with Jamie, we can hash it out into the final format on the consolidated side, because she spends a lot of time reviewing what you guys send her, and that's how she puts together the consolidated.
I'll say, if she has,
Why we have, I think I mentioned this before, but the only reason why, you know, the River Club is part of our financial package is because it's considered an enterprise fund. So because of that, we have to provide it in our monthly reporting. She's great. I think you've talked to her, worked with her, you know, we'll work together, we'll hash it out, finish it, finalize it, and get it to the board. If the board wants to see what I have so far on the assessment schedules, I can send that, because all I did was take the number that Jamie had as part of the tax roll number. I'm not gonna send a blank budget because I did not, you know, include all of his numbers here. But at least if you wanna have an idea, supervisors, I can send you what I have so far on the assessment schedules. It's up to you. I mean, I can send it to you right now if you want, you can look at it.
No,
Belinda,
I think we should wait and get the assessment when we have all the
Can we-
inputs. Agree.
can we-
Otherwise,
time out. Can we, if we're done with the River Club, can we go back to the general fund
sure,
for some discussion?
absolutely.
Could I ask one more question, real
Can I
quick
ask-
before we change?
Any-
So it was my intention that
Hold on.
NOI needed to be a balanced budget.
No.
But is it bottom line?
Bottom line.
Not
Bottom
for
line-
the River Club, this is just River Club piece.
Yeah, I mean, bottom line, the P&L we track does not show, the P&L budget that we track does not show a balanced budget.
This is not include the general reserve, the general fund.
So,
So last
But
year
it
we had a
will
negative.
once your
reserve.
assessments get included in the
Yes.
correct fashion. So we won't be able to have this conversation until Belinda does the assessment worksheet and you put that into yours, if that makes any sense.
not really, but I'll keep,
Okay.
I'll keep modeling, because what I'm looking at that we've imported in your current budget, but I'll keep tracking to the roughly 3.5% dues increase that you gave me 2 weeks
We don't
ago.
have any dues.
However you want to call it, assessment.
Assessment.
Says that,
Yeah,
it does say dues.
It does say
and
taxes.
then we can vet out the differences.
So what'll happen is if your budget is still at this number, we'll put the 79 back up and consolidate it under tax assessment.
Okay.
And that, and so Belinda has a worksheet, well, she'll put all the different budgets in and she'll come up with what the tax assessment needs to be for the community. Then these all become balanced budgets.
Okay, and are we comfortable, because we don't have a ton of time, are we comfortable with where this budget is tracking
Yes,
and what it will require in these
Yes.
assessments?
yes,
So far.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
all right, perfect.
yes.
That's
So we see it
enough.
holistically.
Sure.
Yes, so far, yes.
And then, so before we move to general fund, because I don't know how much longer we have Jamie then, if we think we're gonna wanna reconvene
We need to find a
before
date.
June 8th, my question would be, given everything we've discussed, when would we be in a position to look at it and discuss it again, based on what you have to output?
My guess is it would be the end of next week.
I think so.
I mean, that would be, so really like 3rd, 4th, 5th, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I'm sorry, yeah, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, one of those days.
Wednesday, I'm traveling.
Thursday,
Thursday?
Friday.
I mean, because Friday might be too late, I'm just thinking with the 8th there, is
The
Thursday
29th.
realistic? The 4th?
Are we talking about
Which week
looking
are we
at,
talking about?
we talking about looking at the corrected version
Yes.
of our
Yeah.
budget
Next
after
week is
all
the
of your
29th.
inputs?
Right, but I'm talking the following week, only
Oh.
because they need time to not only
Yeah.
put this in the right
Yeah,
format, and
yeah.
get it over to
No,
Belinda.
it's following week, I
So-
can do Wednesday.
Wednesday, the 3rd.
Yes.
Okay.
Can you get it done by Wednesday the 3rd?
I'm a high school graduate.
Yes, we can.
I can do Wednesday.
Belinda, do you agree? Wednesday the 3rd is doable?
I don't think you have a lot of changes.
I'm just asking.
The changes we're talking about on our format will take me an hour. And honestly, converting it into her template should, even if we had a key
It's
everything
just a
in,
mapping.
should
You
not
kind of
take
have the
that long.
mapping now,
Right.
because we do financials.
I think I'm okay for Wednesday the 3rd. I mean, there is a chance I would have to dial in. I think that might be okay at this
Yeah,
point.
of course.
I do prefer to be here. It's just easier to talk through all this in person. So if that works for everybody, let's plan on that. And if I do have a conflict, I'll at least move around to where I can dial in via Zoom.
Belinda, is that okay?
I can the 3rd, I could do it Thursday or Friday, I think Friday would be better. I have a lot going on next week.
This is the week after, this is the week after next week.
Talking June 4th,
June
June
3rd.
3rd, 4th, 5th?
I'm looking at my calendar and, next week is actually a better week for me, but, I can do the 4th or the 5th. But I can't do the 3rd, the 1st, or the 2nd.
You said next week's
And
better.
how about the 4th?
Next week, for sure, I can do the 28th, the 29th. If I have to cancel something that I have on the 27th, I can.
I can't do the 27th.
And I can't do, next week is tough, because it's Memorial Day, and I pushed everything for next week.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, can we do the 4th or the 5th?
Can we do the 5th?
Even though the 5th is better?
I can't do
Can't do
the
the
5th.
5th.
You can't do the
The
5th?
4th?
I got a high school graduation.
Finally got it?
You
Finally
graduated
got
high
your
school?
gene?
You set yourself
It's
up.
about time, Ken.
But with honors.
Explains a
There you
lot.
go.
It's about time.
Honorary or with
Alright,
honors?
so,
I can do the 2nd, but I have to leave because I have to be in Northport by no later than noon.
I can't do the 2nd.
let's do the
I
4th.
can't do this.
I'll see if I can get my appointment rescheduled.
Okay.
All right.
4th is okay.
So the 4th?
Sure.
Speak to Amanda, she's gonna be very unhappy. Oh, no, I'll make one of you do it.
Around
9:30?
Same time, 9:30?
Yes,
Sounds
please.
good.
I'll be dialing in.
Is this a continuation then?
Yes, it
Yes.
sure is.
Okay.
Summer vacation.
Summer vacation.
Hey, Jamie, at that point in time, could we also
So I
get
don't
these
care.
next cell?
Are we done with
unprotected?
Jamie? Because I don't tend to have general fund questions.
Yes,
I didn't want that to be more confusing because it's not mapping some of those cells, so absolutely. It will show, for example, a supply line item that has 15 individual line items. Every one that's relative to the department would be expanded and expanded.
Okay, perfect.
Go to general fund?
before we do that, because I don't know how much longer Greg and Jamie are they gonna be packing their stuff up, or are you guys gonna hang around and enjoy the general fund budget? I'm guessing you guys are gonna go.
I would probably step out.
Yeah.
I have about another hour. but,
Okay, well, I really, I'm doing this because I wanted to say thank you to Greg. Very much. You and I have spent a lot of time together, and, I've enjoyed it, and I've enjoyed, you've been kind, you've been very insightful. I think you've been really helpful. I think, speaking for myself, I'm not trying to make you upset. We've worked really well together, and I think you've effectuated, most importantly, I think that you've effectuated some real change. I emailed Greg Friday night, I think it was, Tom and I, my husband is the consummate introvert. There are people in Venetian who think I don't have a husband because he never comes out of the house. But he said, let's stay and have a cup of coffee on Friday night after dinner. Because it was the feeling in here was so good, and the food was good, the service was good, the feeling was good, the vibe was great, food was coming and going, and it's because of the change that, I think you've had wanted to bring from when you arrived. So I want to say thank you.
Yes, thank you.
And I would also say the same thing, that I think you've laid a strong foundation for us, and I
Yes.
appreciate everything you've done.
Yes, and I'd like to,
Noticeable changes.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
me too. I'd like to say the same thing, some very positive changes to the club. Thank you.
Same here. I agree with that.
I appreciate the kind words.
Yeah. So, in best luck. You want to borrow my cat carriers? I've got two. But you can't send them back with cats.
Yeah, thank you.
I used to have 6.
Only 5. But, thank you.
My pleasure, thank you. It's been a pleasure with you. I don't know what else I should really say to follow up on this at this point, but it's a very difficult decision I've had to make. So.
Well, we'll see you privately, you know,
Yeah, I'll
so,
talk to you.
Yeah, absolutely.
But just wanted to say
He's
that.
struggled with it. He's not gonna
Yeah.
share all of that, but
Yeah.
he has struggled with it. I think, you came into an incredibly, challenging
Oh,
situation.
yes.
Yeah.
And, what you were able to recover from has been incredible. And it does take a while, and it causes a lot of hurt feelings because people's balance of what they get used to is all of a sudden turned upside down, and we still have that issue. So, this is gonna be quite the conversion again, right? In terms of new GM, new culture, continuing what you tried to get started and implement, whatever improvements you made, just continuing that forward. So, you did a great job. Thank you. Very tough situation and circumstances.
Well, I wish nothing but the best for you. If I could impart one piece of wisdom, I would say, let the management team do their job.
Yep.
And
Amen.
And
For that.
even as recently as this week, employees coming to me about committee members and board members reaching out to them personally and giving them direction and advice causes a ton of strife amongst our management team. Whether it's the chef or the lifestyles director or whoever it has to be. If you guys can do anything to curtail that and allow Hampton to manage the property and do their job, because it's a difficult operation to run, and that makes it way more difficult.
That's actually a great observation. This has probably been a club for, I don't even know how many years, where the committees kind of ran everything. And that's okay, but you really want committees to be advisory and supportive. When there's a situation where they're kind of running things, then decisions from management can be misguided by decisions of the committee chair or whatever. Without a leader in the helm,
They're not supposed to be running.
very likely that could
Yes.
increase and surge again. So, we've already got the interim GM slated. I would just say, once we get that person introduced and connected, that everything that committee chairs or otherwise would try to go straight to a department head for, funnel that through the interim. He's not gonna know anything, right? But at least he can be the facilitator of that request and information.
That's the message that I continually deliver to the committees that I'm the liaison for. So I hope you saw a little bit of relief from the couple of
100%.
committees. Okay,
My comment there wasn't referring to you or that committee.
okay, great, thank you.
No, 100%. But it's just, it presents an obstacle that's insurmountable and untenable for a successful operation. So,
Yeah.
And support your team and your staff. I mean, I worry about the turnover. I get emotionally attached and connected and loyal and serve the team to serve the residents and the members. And I don't want you to have to go through what we went through in October and November again.
Yeah, and good, this is a decent segue. I should have mentioned this earlier. One of the major conflicts of maintaining hours of operation and outlets during summer months, off-peak months, is you spread the whole thing out. And you spread the whole thing out, and now someone works a 4-hour shift and makes $10 a day. So, when we talk about changing hours of operation, it is sometimes about just minimizing the labor and the expense and we did no covers, right? But it's also about making sure that the shifts that you're assigning, the outlets that you're assigning, give your staff sufficient income. It will fall off the planet here. Now, I'm sure it's been that same way for years, but I don't know that. I don't have that historical data set, but people don't plan for the slow months. They never do. Maybe teachers, but servers do not. Food and beverage people do not. They ride the wave when they have it and they crash when it's not there. So just something to think about. We've not modeled any of that. I know we've lightly discussed it. There can be pushback. But I think one thing that gets missed in that presentation is reducing hours is often about staff, especially in these months. So it's not about taking away from the residents. It's about how do we not lose the staff that we now have.
Good point. Well taken, actually.
And I think that one of the next things we need to discuss is how do we maintain some semblance of a living salary in the summer?
Absolutely.
I mean, we have to address that.
100%.
Because now that we have staff that everybody is very comfortable with, we have a nice core, we need to figure out how we're gonna keep them.
Well, you'll see, so I attached sales reports. I knew we weren't gonna get too much into that. So I didn't, Cindy, I didn't break it all down or anything, because I didn't want it to imply that we were modeling those reductions to achieve what we were achieving. But you can very obviously see the days outlets that are just absolutely nothing. And so I think, as we move along, we'll look at those opportunities, but this is where, just be mindful that if we do run OT in certain months, it's because you're keeping 7 people instead of 9, because then you can float 7 people through the summer, right?
Right, exactly.
Same with reducing, say, bar, main dining, and tiki. Maybe you don't need the bar, and maybe you don't need main dining. Greg had a great idea that you still staff it for somebody that says, well, I want to sit inside, so you put a body in here, but you'd have to pull the tips and figure that out. But it just consolidates down the labor shift burn, and the deletion or depletion, I should say, of that server pool. But enough said.
And we had also talked months ago about having a Hampton 6-month review, which obviously now is. My recommendation would be depending on how long it takes to get a new GM, and the one thing I was the service to Greg is we did not have that meeting with Greg sooner. We should have that Hampton 6-month review, whatever month it happens with the new GM, and start the process day one of our expectations.
Sure.
So we can overlay where we've been, where we are, what we're looking for, so we start fresh at the beginning.
That sounds good.
It's a good idea. You bet.
Nothing else for me?
Thank you both very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It might take me like 5 minutes to pack up, so
You're
that's gonna be disturbing.
You can listen to all the confidential information about general fund.
You want me to stay for the general fund? or-
Yeah, we're good. Yeah, I just
want to grab Jamie for a minute.
Okay,
Okay.
Carol.
All right, y'all have a nice weekend.
Thanks, Carol.
Thank you, Carol.
Oh, yeah, happy Memorial Day,
I'll be right back, guys.
We taking a break?
Jamie.
Can we? Can we take a 2-minute break?
Okay.
Is that all right?
Okay, 2-minute break, 3 minutes. We gotta take that long to walk there.
I'll be
That's
brief.
true. 3 minutes is good. I'm just gonna.
I'll be quick.
I'm just gonna button
Okay,
Thank you.
we're back up.
Okay, we're up.
Okay. Is Belinda
Go,
on?
Ken, Belinda's on, and she's on my,
So, two items to consider, on the general fund. One, in both communicating with Andy and my own thoughts, and Vesta's response, combination of all those things, we need to put in some significant amount of legal fees. And I'm thinking to the tune of 60,000. I think it should be higher.
Well, I guess my question is, we're all in, right? I guess, is that it? Is that where we stand today?
Well,
With going-
what I would say is I think we need to be very careful anything we say about this because we're being recorded.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about it.
No, I don't want to talk about it.
Oh, okay,
My question.
I'm just saying from a budget standpoint, we need to
Yeah.
fund it.
okay.
Okay. All right, then
Right.
that's the answer.
Well, no, it's not free.
it's not free, and I guess how do you come up with 60?
Okay, so can I chime in?
Yes, please.
Okay, so I did see that, Ken, but that was, legal fees were not just for the first year of the litigation, so
Correct.
I was trying to look back on what the total was from the start of when the initial action was filed.
100,000.
So I know the final outcome, what we were estimating, but right now, I don't have the first year from when we started litigation. I can probably pull that up. I tried to pull it up today when I was reviewing some of the emails, but I didn't get a chance to just go back all the way. But it shouldn't be hard because it should be on the financials of what outside counsel's costs were.
Yeah.
And I can send that over for the board to review. Do I think the initial year is gonna be 100,000 or 60,000? No, but, I
Well,
can
this,
go back.
this year is not over. This will be the initial year.
But are you saying, Belinda, you don't see
So
that
I'm
much
looking
more
at,
this
I'm
year?
looking at fiscal 27.
Yeah,
And then these fees are gonna go up
2026,
too.
2027, I don't know that that is what the cost will be.
Oh, I don't think any of us do.
Even depositions and everything else, I have no idea like where this is gonna go, so it's very hard to tell. I wanted to kind of go back on the history of what we've experienced with the past litigation that we had to kind of come back with some sort of an estimate, I wanna say. But it's hard, it's really hard, you really don't know where you're gonna end up litigation wise. But for the initial year, I don't know that that's the number that I would use. I think we should explore it and see.
Should what?
explore it.
Well, we should make.
Well, I asked Andy, and he came back with 50,000.
So should we just put a 50,000 number in as a
And I
placeholder for
agree.
the purposes of the assessment worksheet?
Fine,
That,
fine, whether it's 50, 60.
And I would say, but Andy's also gonna go up too, because obviously Andy's involved in all the correspondences and all the activities, so his is probably gonna go up some as well.
Sure.
Realistically.
Oh, yeah.
So this is, we're moving this from 20,000 to 50,000.
Yes. And then if Andrews is gonna go up,
I would bring Andy up at least another 10.
so that you can
And
say
and
10, 60.
increase Andy's fees as well,
So 60,000 total.
probably another 10.
Yeah, bring Andy to 80.
Wait, 60.
60,000. Ken, you're so smart.
you just change it 17.
He just graduated high school.
I did.
Yeah.
Not yet.
Yeah, just
Well,
change
we
the
spent-
77 to 90.
The board spent, not we, because I wasn't on it, but the board spent 100,000 the last time.
We're on it. We're here.
I was on the conclusion of it, saying,
Get the fun part.
settle this freaking thing.
It was at the end.
Yeah. I think I helped bring it to an end.
Yeah, you did.
So I'm just assuming that there's gonna be more money spent this year between now and the end of September because we're gonna go through the he said, she said several times. And then all of next year, it's gotta be the brunt of it. So if it goes through all that, then 50, 60 next year is easily spent.
Easily.
Well, outside council, 2023 fiscal year end was 43. And that was the culmination, I think, meaning that's where it all ended. We did have a budget of 50,000, that was our budget amount, and this was for fiscal year ending. Yeah, it was 23.
What was 22?
22,
If 23 was the culmination.
yeah, 23 was a culmination, then we go back to,
And the engineer's fees were high.
Do we need to increase our engineer fees?
I'm going through the financials, but we should be going through the trend report, but hold on a second.
No, I go with it.
22 was 60,000.
How many?
60,000.
Yeah. The whole thing was,
361.
the whole thing was like 100.
Let's go into the trend, hold on.
Is that just outside council, or does that
That's
include?
outside council. Everything that's outside council was related to the litigation, so.
Well, plus Andy, I'm sure spent something.
Yeah, but wasn't there,
Yes, but outside council was primarily the litigation, so that was 1920, we had 26,000.
wasn't there litigation
21.
over pickleball as well at the same time?
Towards the end, yes, because it was the same attorney,
That wasn't a huge amount.
That was a huge amount.
but it wasn't all related to the roadway spills.
Right.
But initially, the first year, the 26, the 45, I would say yes. That was all related to the roadways. Then pickleball took over.
So the highest year was 45.
The highest year, I want to say was actually 21, 22, when it was 60. But I think this is when we started with pickleball, and this was a combination of both.
So why don't we just put 60 in outside council, because really it's gonna be mostly outside council. And
Either way,
Yeah, maybe it's cleaner if it's
I just put it in one
outside
place,
council.
yeah. So 60,
Your point.
During those years, Andy's fees were, they were pretty much in line, so 74, 2018, 2019, 73, 71, another 71. 22, 23, his fees were 66.
Okay.
So,
as long as there's something in there.
so 60,000 then in outside council. Which we had made 20, so now we're gonna make it 60, right?
Thought we were gonna
Okay,
making it 60.
making it
Yeah.
60, not adding 60.
Gotcha.
Making
Thank you.
it 60.
okay.
Thank you.
Okay,
Are we increasing Andy at all, or are we leaving Andy?
no, we're leaving Andy alone.
All right, so the second thing I was asked to look into, Keith and I, were options on the rovers, their security controls.
Yes.
Right.
So we got two options. One, to eliminate the 2 p.m., basically the afternoon, 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. rover and all day Sunday. And the bottom line of that, I'm sorry, yeah, bottom line of that would save us 66,000. And then we did a third option of eliminating both the rover second and third shift. So no rover 2 p.m. to
6 the next morning.
6 the next morning. So we would have the rover 6 to 2. So here to help the gatehouse if they were busy, really busy and needed the support. than to go and kind of go around the community in the daytime. That would save us $128,000.
Does
That would eliminate though the rover on graveyard for whatever, just ease up.
I thought we talked about eliminating the rover
During
in the
the day.
morning.
Yeah,
And not the
Yeah.
right, I thought we were just gonna do one shift for the 66.
yeah.
So I thought that was it.
I thought we were gonna get rid of the day rover and not the night rover.
The 2 PM to 10.
Okay, either
Not
way,
the
it's
6
gonna work out
a.m.
the
to-
same.
No, because I think they need the extra head count to get people in the gate.
That first,
That's why we left
the 6 to 2
Oh,
is a rover / helper up at the front gate.
6 a.m. to 2 p.m. is the first shift.
yeah, I understand, yeah.
And that's
Okay.
why we left.
I see what you're saying, yeah.
Got rid of Sunday because there's not really
So we're.
a whole lot, there's no
eliminating-
visitors or vendors here.
That makes sense for that amount of
For
money.
66,000.
For 66,000, I agree, like get rid of the one shift.
So, and we're getting rid of the shift that goes from
Well, you can,
2,
I guess you can get rid of either one. There's a 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. and a 10 p.m. to 6 a.m.
And those are the set shifts, they won't change those hours.
We can change whatever hours you wanna go. I mean, the suggestion, get rid of Sunday and then no rover from 2 until 10, but you have that night rover that everybody kind of likes to have the rover going around at night. And that's your $60,000 savings. Now, if you want to get rid of the second shift and third shift and just have them from 6 a.m. to 2 p.m., that's your 100 and some odd $1,000 savings.
That's 127.
So
I think we just decreased the one shift,
I agree with
the
you.
2 PM to 10
Yes,
PM.
I agree with
I
Cheryl as well.
like having somebody driving through here at night.
I agree.
Agreed.
And let's just see how that goes first of all, because
And I talked to the supervisor up there, Tony, he's back for a couple more months. And after Ken and I had our discussion about that, and he thought that was, you shouldn't see a blimp on anybody's radar, with those, Sunday gone
Right.
and the second shift
Right.
gone. He says that would be,
Right. Okay.
I just wish it wasn't until 10 o'clock at night, I wish that we could start the rover earlier than 10, but obviously that screws up everything else, so. that's what-
Well, I think,
We can shift it
So-
an hour.
yeah, I guess you could, because if the rover's doing
What-
something
what?
separately, we could start the
Does that make
rover at
sense?
8, but
No.
then that shifts the other thing.
Mhm.
and-
Yeah.
But
You
you
know
know
what,
what,
your savings
for
go
purposes
down.
of the budget,
Yeah, it doesn't
let's
matter.
just make the decrease in line
And then we can
54
figure- yeah,
we can
figure out how to make it work.
$66,000.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
Yep.
so
And then we
Melinda,
can talk about times later.
Mhm.
Melinda, the new cost by eliminating that second shift is $380,160.
$380,000?
166.
And is that a price they're gonna keep, or are we gonna get renegotiated again? It's gonna come out to be too low. You know what I mean? They always come back to us and.
This is all based on current costs.
Okay,
So if there's an inflationary factor in the budget, we still gotta add that.
okay,
But either way, you're gonna save at
And that
least
is
the
in there,
66,
yeah.
okay.
which coincides
Take
with.
into account, the increase that he submitted his proposal on, Ken, when we first started working on the budget.
The 3.2?
Yeah.
Well, you have that in there already, right?
I had it, but now since this is changing, I don't know if he took that into consideration because I haven't seen his final numbers.
But if 462 included it and the 66 is without it, it actually leaves us a wee bit of cushion, a couple thousand,
Mm,
right?
I missed
Okay,
that.
so the 3.2% is in the 462. That's in the budget now. So if he took out the 66 without knowing about the 3.2%, this actually would be bigger.
Yeah.
So we'll just take out the 66 and we're still okay, right?
You can do it that way, or just plug in 380,166 plus the inflation factor.
Oh, you're saying
You
the
got a
new
new number.
contract is 380. So you didn't add the
The new
3.2.
cost.
So you didn't add the 3.2.
I'm comparing it to what we're currently paying.
See, because Belinda had the 3.2 in here, so
And
that's
that's nothing to do with the budget.
So you have to do 380,166 times 1.3032. That's the
Yes.
new number. Sorry.
I don't think he took that into consideration when he gave his proposal, so just to be sure, we can include it in here. But if
Better go
it's any
high.
cheap, we can.
Yep.
So your new number, oh, that's not right. So what's your new number, Belinda? I get 392, 325.
He was quoting on today's pricing.
I would just reduce the 66 if we have extra money at the end of the year, just pocket it.
394, Cheryl, is that what you came up with?
392.
Okay. All right, 392 it is, the middle one.
Or we can just put in 396 even, and then we
Why
get a
not?
2% play.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would just put in
396.
396 even, Belinda.
Yeah.
So this is actually going down by $51,000 with the change.
Nice, that worked.
Perfect.
How about that?
3.2% increase that we just discussed.
Yeah.
Yes, perfect.
No,
So my question is, do we
This
have to reassess the district engineer
Mhm.
fees?
oh, good point. Yes. Thank you for bringing that up. I meant to. That's also material.
We had it at 50.
Yeah.
Belinda, what's your experience around other district engineers?
I just had a notice of a 10% increase for one district on district engineering fees. So, to be honest, rates are going from, I want to say $325 an hour and above. This is Apex, which was formerly Johnson. I work with other firms such as Baracco and Associates. I can tell you what their rates are, but across the board, I'm seeing increases everywhere. I think Apex is the highest so far. But, it really depends on what projects you're expecting for the following year and whether or not, Rick is gonna be on board or you're gonna get another engineer.
Well, and maybe this is the appropriate time for me to share. I had a chat with Rick after the last meeting, and because it occurred to me, there's a lot of knowledge base on the very critical topic of our infrastructure. And asked him if on projects that are planned projects, that he would do typically every year for our infrastructure, our ponds, wetlands, roads, that sort of thing, would he consider a consulting arrangement? Now, I don't know whether that's even allowed. And I told him it was just me thinking out loud. It wasn't a position from the board. It was just an out of curiosity thing. But I don't know whether that's even allowed under the construct of the CDD, if you could do it that way, or there has to be only one district engineer of record, and that's the way it is. But I wanted to just tell you all that I had that conversation with him, just riffing out of the air.
So Belinda, what was Rick's hourly rate, since I don't have it off the top of my head? Belinda, did you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I just didn't know if you were there. I thought I maybe muted you.
I did, I'm here, I'm sorry, I'm just pulling up his last invoice, give me 1 sec.
Thank you.
So, the way he's been billing the district is based off of his time, not his total hourly rate.
Okay,
So, for example, he has here 165 at 0.25, which is the quantity of the time he spent on several things for the district as it relates to the software, the water management district. His last rate increase that he submitted,
A couple years ago.
well, it was recent because he hasn't really submitted one.
But there was one, wasn't there?
There was one like at the
It was
end.
recent where he said he would increase his rates and it was,
Before last budget period?
yeah.
yeah, it was.
Yeah, so I don't remember much from last.
Reasonable. That's all I have from him actually. So his rate is $165. He's been billing the district for time, meaning if he spent 10 minutes, 20 minutes, that's what he would bill for. He's not billing the entire $165 an hour.
So it's double.
So he's done.
It's gotta be at least double then from what
At
you're
least,
saying.
at least.
Yeah, and if,
Let me pull up. Let me just pull up one that I recently had to review, just to get the board an idea. And change districts here. There's one that we just paid. This is to Apex, which was formerly Johnson Engineering. And this is monitoring for water use permits, so we move from this one into another one that we can relate to. Because it's different for water use and permitting, so. This invoice is for $14,000, but this one is at transportation engineer at $220 an hour. $165 an hour for wetland compliance. District engineer, this is another one, at $176. I have another one here for $270, which is the professional engineer that has to sign off on documents, which I think you already have that with Rick.
That's what we think.
So Rick is a PE, he doesn't use, others. He's charging you way less than what you would have to pay another company.
So do we, is double sufficiently? Is double sufficient? Or is it?
I think your budget right now, as it is accurate. That's only if Rick remains on board, to be honest, and depending on the projects that you have coming forward.
So if say, let's make an assumption that Rick does not stay. Given what you've seen in other districts, does the 50 become 75 or does it become 100?
But if we're only at 15,000 for the half the year.
but that's because he doesn't charge us, like, for
I
example.
know, no, I get that, but, then so it's 50, so the projected total for the year would be 30. So even if it's then double, it would be 60, and we've got already 50 in here.
I think we should
I
go
think we should
for
go
a
to 75.
conservative
I
number.
agree. I
We
would say
can always
80.
adjust
I
it
would
with
say
a little
80's
more.
fine, 80's fine.
Just based on some of the math that I just did, I think 80 would be a realistic number.
My first shot at math gave me 106. I didn't like it. So, 106.
We have a high school graduate next year.
If you take his rate.
Okay, so we're adding,
I have this one district where we're projecting our annual at the end of this year with projects at 168 with an actual of 85,000 currently. But, the district board still has to have a discussion, but they are increasing their current budget, which was 60,000 to 90.
Okay,
So it all depends
Okay.
on what we're projecting project-wise. This is a district that's just transitioning, finalizing with the developer, so it's something for you to consider. Do you have to make that decision right now? No, because we still have another meeting that we can talk about it on, but it really depends on the firms. And rates are just crazy right now with some of the engineering firms. And I did talk about what's happening now trend-wise, which is a lot of these companies are not just charging, their rates, they're wanting to charge fuel surcharges. There's a lot of things happening in the industry right now.
I think, so I can get an eyeball on the number, could you make it, can we make it 80 in this version, and if we wanna take it down, we can?
Or,
Yeah, I'd rather go high.
I'd like to see how all this is gonna shake out.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I just made the change, and I'm gonna add a note here because the original note was to decrease it, so now I'm gonna add another comment, just so that everybody gets to see it.
Thank you.
Well, so you get to track the comments that we're making, so I'm gonna make a comment here that as of today, amount changed per board. Okay. This way you get to see it and you get to compare. Going back, honestly, I don't think, well, I have to say for the record, your district manager for 10 years on June 13th.
Ooh,
Party.
all
That's
right.
What's that?
10 years.
Wow.
she's
10
just a
years.
Well, I want to be the first one to say, you're awesome.
Yes.
Agreed.
Agreed. 1,000% on that one.
Okay, and in those 10 years, I have never seen your engineering fees go to a point where, hold on. And I wanted everybody to have this trend report for a reason, like, hold on, let me go to the engineering line item, and here we go. There was only, I want to say, 1 year, which was 1920, which was the only year where we exceeded engineering fees. And it was primarily because of the fuel spills.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
That was the highest year.
Okay.
And he did attend meetings for the city council. He went to public hearings. There was a lot of back and forth.
Mhm.
But if you look back into the history from 1920 through 2024, 2025, your engineering fees, except for maybe 21, 22, they were at 51,000. Everything pretty much remained under $50,000.
Right.
Which is why we budgeted $50,000.
Yes, exactly.
Thank you very much.
Yes. But
All right.
Anything else? Sorry.
No.
So
Are you
we
eager?
net added 29,000, I got that tonight?
Yeah, I think so. Yes.
Yeah.
I'll send the changes so that everybody can see what was changed, but I'm saving and tracking everything for the board.
And are we talking about reserves at all? I know both of the studies said 0.
What would you like to know?
Do you really think 0 is prudent?
No, this actually, what are you looking at?
The reserves, I was just curious,
But didn't you work on that with Belinda since the last meeting?
Yep.
So I think we'll see that in our next.
No, she has them, but,
She has it.
but
okay.
That is not prudent. You are correct, that is not prudent.
Okay.
So there is a decrease in the CDD reserve, but there is an increase in the river code reserve that you're gonna notice
Okay.
when you look at
Okay.
assessment schedules.
Okay.
Fair enough.
All right.
Fair enough.
Perfect.
Do we, back to the landscaping?
Yeah, I'd like to talk about that
Yeah,
next time.
because if we go, if, in case we have to
Yeah.
make a change.
Mm.
Because we're bringing them in. I'm
Yeah.
not saying we are making a change, I'm just saying,
You saying we're getting what we're paying for? Is that what you're saying?
I don't know. Maybe they come back and say, you know what, maybe they can say, you're not getting what you're paying for and do a better job. I don't know. I'm hoping that's the case, They need to make money. I mean, they're a business, they need to make money. Our job is to try to save as much money as we can, and then we have to find a happy medium between what we want and what they want.
So do we have time?
I just can't say that what their mindset is, but in case our mindset is what we want and they can't match it, and we decide to make a change, we need to incorporate something.
So,
I would like to wait until next time,
Okay.
only because I'd like to pull out my old notes from the other companies we actually had bids from.
yeah,
And then, we may have an idea, because I will talk to Kyle before the next time. what they're-
I've got a meeting with them next week.
So we'll put our heads together and come
Okay.
up with what we think.
okay.
Just FYI, Cheryl, what
Yeah.
I'm seeing with some of the landscaping companies with the fuel surcharges, they're going between 2.5% to 5%. So that's an add-on, and what they're doing is, they're not just charging you just a separate fee. For example, on your monthly invoice, they're gonna charge the 5% on top of your monthly invoice.
Right.
That is what the vendors are doing right now.
Awesome, it's crazy.
Well, let's hope by the time we make a change, if we have to make a change, prices come back down.
Yeah.
I mean, your contract doesn't allow it, but that's what they're doing now. So, we already received a charge, which we thought, but it's happening everywhere.
And that'll be one of the responses we get when they come back on this deficiency notice. So I need to kind of,
Yeah, that's kind of why I'm trying to wrap my head around all of this, because like I said, they're in business, they've got to make a profit. If they're not making a profit, there's no reason for them to stay.
Yeah.
But then again, I'm not looking, there's a
But there may
profit
be
and there's
some
a profit.
other charges for GM turnover too, and there's gonna be a sign on.
Yeah, and
So there's a lot of little things that we have to.
didn't we paid for relocation, didn't we?
Mhm.
Okay. So there was some discussion about,
So I wouldn't be surprised if, Jamie and the Hampton team see it with the pool cleaning company, because we're seeing it with pool cleaning companies, fountain companies,
yeah,
it's across the board. So you're gonna see this across the board, where these vendors are gonna come back and say, well,
Enough.
given the cost of fuel, we want to adjust our contracts. And we're just letting you know, you don't have to accept it, you can bid out, but this is what's happening in the industry.
Right.
yeah,
My
Yeah.
one guy up north is already
Really?
said, if it goes above a certain price.
yeah, okay. So, all right. The fourth, so Belinda, you'll do the same noticing magic that you did for this continuation?
Well, we're not going to adjourn this meeting.
No,
We're going to continue it, so we're gonna continue it to June 4th at 9:30 a.m.
Yes.
And I would ask for the board to have a motion to continue it, same location at the River Club. And then I guess we can outline the details, we'll post it on the website, because we don't have to kind of do an ad for this.
Yeah.
I will tell the board again, just for the record, we cannot discuss anything outside of what we noticed on the original agenda, which is the budget.
Okay.
Budget for the general fund, budget for the River Club. We don't want to get into any kind of details, anything outside of that, because that's not what the purpose of this workshop is for, or the continuance of it.
Right.
At the same time, today, we did notify the public, we did take public comment during the first workshop. I will be there for this next workshop.
Okay.
If the board wants to take public comment for anything new that has not already been discussed, you can choose to do so. You're not required to, but you can choose to do so.
But only budget related.
Only budget related, something new.
Right.
Okay.
Agenda budget related, yes. But it's up to you as a board whether or not you want to entertain that at that point, because this is a continuance of what we originally noticed
Right.
and where we are right now in the
Yeah.
process.
Yeah, and that's why I didn't want to go there this morning, because it wouldn't have been understood and it would have just opened a can of worms.
And that was my fault, so I am
It's not
sorry.
your fault.
It's nobody's fault, to be honest with you, a lot of people don't know when it comes to workshops, what can and cannot be done.
Uh-huh.
Every attorney works differently, some attorneys say, you know what, no, you don't have to take comment, so it's different.
Okay.
But I'm just letting the board know, it's on the record, I will be there, so if
Thank
anybody
you.
has a question or they wanna ask me, I can definitely respond. I did have Andy on text message just in case I needed him because he's off today, but he agreed, we're fine, everything's fine, but this is just a continuance. I'm hoping that, we can wrap everything up by then.
Yeah.
And move forward so that we can get the budget approved before the deadline.
That would be nice.
Great,
Cool.
all right.
Alrighty then, so we need a motion to continue the meeting to Thursday, June 4th at 9:30 a.m. Is that correct?
I make the motion.
Workshop.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
I didn't hear, was that 10?
Ken seconded.
Okay, so there's a second by Ken.
Jump right
Any
in.
further discussion? Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you, Belinda. All right,
Oh my
bye.
gosh.
Happy Memorial Day weekend.
Happy Memorial Day weekend, yes.